All right, we are back in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 World Tour, taking off from Guipavas, right by Brest in northwest France. We're going to fly south down the French coast, eventually get to Spain, probably not in this flight, but eventually, and make our way around the European continent, eventually flying past Portugal and along the southern coast of Europe. That'll be a long way in the distance. But what we want to look at this is what we want to look at, the zoom. I am recording on Saturday, October 26th. It is 12:54 p.m. Eastern Time. It is during the Nebraska-Ohio State game. We actually did decently well in terms of defense anyway for the first two drives, but then Ohio State scored 7-0 at the end of the first quarter. I'm sure it'll get much, much worse. This is on the heels of getting absolutely destroyed by Indiana last week, so I have zero hope for this game. So I'm already completely not paying attention to it. I've got it on the TV. You might hear it in the background. But I figured I'd get a flight in while I watch this ass kicking my Huskers are going to take. And we've got live weather on. I did move the time earlier, so it's not pitch blackout. If there's too many clouds, we may change that, but I'd like to keep live weather on if possible for most of these flights, but I just don't want it to be a situation where you can't really see anything. So we'll fly farther along the French coast, eventually getting to Spain. That won't be probably this video, but we'll get there eventually. I figured we'd start with the Wednesday, October 23rd episode of the Tony Kornheiser Show and kind of go from there. Maybe we can get a couple-hour flight in today since it's Saturday. So as we head towards the French coast, here is the Wednesday, October 23rd episode of the Tony Kornheiser Show.
Hey, it's Tony. Today's show jumped on football games against Regiment Hockey, and he had a great last week. Yes. We'll also talk to Tim Kirkjian about the World Series between the Dodgers and the Yankees, a matchup we haven't seen in over 40 years. But first, commerce.
Now trending? Fall. And DSW is here with all the obsession-worthy shoe trends you need in your closet. Feeling fierce? DSW's got bold snake print boots and a retro sneaker with animal print details. Going for demure? Kitten heels or the eye-catching yet walkable heel all over your feet. And all over DSW. From edgy moto boots to sweetly simple ballet flats. Find the must-own shoe trends of the season right now at your DSW store or DSW.com. Worried about letting someone else pick out the perfect avocado for your perfect impress them on the third date guacamole? Well, good thing Instacart shoppers are as picky as you are. They find ripe avocados like it's their guac on the line. They are milk expiration date detectives. They bag eggs like the 12th.
So they have now succeeded in doing what all the leagues want to do, which is staying in your consciousness or attempting to. 365 days starts tomorrow.
Yeah, just make me one promise that after two games we won't talk about who's good for the playoffs.
The Lakers.
Please, just...
The Lakers. What's wrong with the Lakers?
No, I can't.
This is General George Washington, and you're listening to the Tony Kornheiser Show.
It's actually a horror movie. It is. It's a horror movie. I tried to watch. I did not stay up to watch the Lakers against the Timberwolves. I know the result. The Lakers won. Anthony Davis had a great game. LeBron James' son went out there and played with LeBron James and scored any points. But that just would have been icing. The whole thing was icing for LeBron. He was amazingly happy to have his kid right by him, and the Lakers won. So that's a great open for them. I assume on PTI we're going to have to talk about them ad nauseum, like the Jets, like the Cowboys. I watched a lot of the Boston game. Boston is the exact same team as last year in terms of philosophy. They spread it out and they shoot threes. They made 29 threes. That ties the record in the NBA for threes. And they made it with, 8 or 9 minutes to go. And they couldn't hit another three. They went 0 for 13 after that. 0 for 13 from 3. I could not watch the game. I mean, after 4 or 5 minutes, I just stopped. There's a lot of reasons for this. One is that the World Series starts on Friday. We're in the middle of the football season, college and pro. I don't care about basketball now. It's too early, and it's hot outside, and it's too early for basketball. And the game of basketball is not interesting to me. It's, everybody plays it the same way. They play from the inside out. They want to shoot threes because they understand that if they shoot a percentage of threes even comparable to their percentage of twos, they get an extra point.
Yeah.
So why not do it? Everybody's a shooter now. That's the way it works. That's the way it works. You either dunk the ball or you make threes. Okay, so there's a repetitiveness to basketball now that is sort of boring to me because I remember another kind of basketball. I'm not the target audience anymore. Don't worry about me. You're trying to get people from 12 to 30 to consume your product and watch your game, so you don't have to worry about me. But I watched it for a little while, and then I found myself drifting off and going to the hockey. I'm not even a hockey guy. There were 87 hockey games on last night, and there were these 2 basketball games on last night, and I'm not doubting the excellence of the people who play in the NBA at all. Jason Tatum's a great player. Jaylen Brown is a great player. Was I interested to see how the Knicks would look with Karl Anthony Towns? Yes, I was, because that was the biggest trade of the offseason. So I stayed with it even longer than I normally would. But it was 20 points at the end of the first quarter. It wasn't a game.
Yeah.
It was never a game. It was an exhibition of individual talent. It was never a game. So I left that. And Wilbon will be so jacked up to talk about it today. And it'll start talking about playoffs, and it just started. So, that's out there. We're not going to talk about that today because we have Tim Kirkchin on and Chuck Todd on. There's a trade. This is 7:45 in the morning on Wednesday. There's a trade being reported by Adam Schefter that it is close to being finalized, which would send DeAndre Hopkins from Tennessee, where he has no statistics. I think he's got 150 yards and catches this year. 150 yards. He's got like 7 catches, 150 yards. He has no numbers whatsoever. He's going to go to Kansas City. How will this work out? It'll work out great for Kansas City. Because DeAndre Hopkins, though he is, I think, 33 years old, and he's long past when he was a great pro. He's long past that. He can catch. You throw it near him, he will hold on to it. So he will get a lot of first downs. He's a possession receiver in the way that Travis Kelce is a possession receiver at this moment. The Chiefs are a defensive-oriented team who need to take long drives to score because that's how they're going to win games. They don't win games 45 to 15. They win games 24 to 20 these days because they're a really good defensive team and because Patrick Mahomes is the best football player on the planet. So that's how that works. So getting DeAndre Hopkins is very good for them. But if you expect him to go down the left-hand side and catch the ball on a 30-yard out and then go the remaining 50 yards running past him, that's not how he plays anymore. It's just not how he plays. Do I have those stats right? 7 catches, 150 yards?
I see it here as 15 catches, 173 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing. They played 6 games.
Yeah.
Now, okay, he has Will Levis throwing to him. There's a significant difference between Will Levis and Patrick Mahomes. Is DeAndre Hopkins going to be a lot better with Kansas City than he was with Tennessee? Sure he is. And they need him because Rashee Rice is out and Hollywood Brown is. They don't have any wide receiver. They don't have it.
Yeah.
What is Patrick Mahomes' favorite pass now? He's about to be tackled. He throws a shovel pass to a running back. That's what he does.
What happened to Travis Kelce? I mean, he's non-existent this year.
He's old.
Yeah, he got old
He's a
fast.
possession receiver, and he's old, and this happens. And I'm sure people are going to blame,
Of course.
Taylor Swift. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. He's been in a lot of commercials, and maybe his mind was elsewhere in that period of time when he would normally be working out and practicing. And my response to that is good for him.
Sure.
He made a bunch of dough. Now, am I sick of him and his brother? Because they're in every commercial?
$100 million.
They're in a lot of commercials. Okay, it's like the Jake from State Farm. I'm sick of you. Patrick Mahomes is in too many commercials. Steph Curry is in too many commercials. But I certainly affirm their right to make a bunch of dough being in commercials. Why wouldn't you do that? What did I want to talk about? I'm losing all of whatever abilities I had in golf. I went out yesterday. I played 15 holes. I no longer hit the ball even 150 yards off the tee. That's physiology. I understand that. As long as I make good contact and hit it straight, I can live with no distance. But I don't hit it straight anymore. I'm hitting driver left or I'm hitting driver right. It's not going anywhere. If I'm on a par 3 and I take out a rescue club, I bang it right into the ground. If I'm taking an iron to 65-yard shot, I hit it 35. I mean, I just
A third of the way there.
I stink. I am terrible, and I play a lot. So it's not like, whoa, where did this come from? No. This is who I am now. I'm a terrible player. I had a couple of good shots yesterday on a couple of par 3s on 13 and 16, but most of the time, I'm dreadful. This just our
Three specialist. No, I think this has to do with your body telling you that this is not golfing season. Your mind is racing forward to what you have to do
70
for the
degrees.
70.
Shocking update. Nebraska just kicked a field goal, only down 7-3 in the second quarter now. Go Big Red.
5 yesterday.
I went out here.
Your mind is telling you that you have to get ready for something much more important, which is your daily TV show. So you are just waiting to get off the course before you even start. You're only playing 15 holes. You're probably just focused on the group ahead of you.
Well, no, we were the lead group. I took a tee shot. I said it was
A ceremonial tee shot on 16?
It was time for me to leave and go inside, take a shower, get ready, make the call to Kelleher at 11 o'clock. It was time for me to do that.
That explains everything.
It was about 10:45 or something like that. And I said, all right, I'll take a tee shot on 16, and if I knock it in, everybody drinks and I go. Well, I hit it to 6 feet.
Were you tempted to putt it?
I did putt it. I walked across the pond, and I missed the putt. I missed every putt. I miss all putts now. But, it wasn't a bad putt. I missed it on the high side. I just missed it. That's okay. I think I have a problem with lining up on putting. I think I'm lining up to the right.
Yeah.
I don't think I see the line.
What's your dominant eye?
My left eye.
For News Channel 8, he's closing
left
each eye individually.
My left eye is
Just
my
test him real
dominant
quick.
eye.
Yeah.
My left eye. And I don't know. I missed the putt. I said next one good, right?
Okay, good.
So I got, and I walked in and everything was fine, but I'm no good. I'm simply no good. I'm no good.
But you enjoy it, right?
I love it. So I'm going to continue to do it. Although I am no longer apparently invited to any of the events.
I was going to say, they'll let you keep coming out as long as you know how to log in.
I don't know how to get on the website.
Oh.
I'm too old for website.
They've worked you out through technology.
I am.
And you've been protected from this because you have friends who will sign you up for the only times there are tee times.
That's right.
And this is at Rehoboth and Columbia.
Yes, but I don't do it myself, and I am becoming that extraneous human being who is like, who's that guy? Who's that old man? What's he doing here? And I become that, and yet I don't. It's one of the reasons I don't quit my jobs, because I want to be able to talk to people who are not just my age in the home, honestly. And so, because I think that gives you a better chance of
This
staying
is the home,
vibrant.
like your home, or like
No,
the home, capital H?
Ingles. Yeah, whatever. I get all of these things in the mail now. You know, they know how old you are when they send mailers out.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all about,
Ready for you.
they're all about,
Moving special.
advanced living, really beautiful apartments. I don't want to live in an apartment. You know why I don't want to live in an apartment? Because I'm loud. And I don't want the people all around me to hear every single thing I'm saying or hear me screaming. I don't want that. I want to live in a house where other people don't get to hear everything that you do. I think I'm like a lot of people in that regard. I'll get out of here now. If you're wondering why I did not talk about Fernando Valenzuela, because Tim Kirchin's going to be on the show today, and I'm going to ask Tim about that as well as the World Series. What you can
I was going to say, getting back to your golf game, reminds me of what Rodney Dangerfield did in in that movie where he's going back to school.
Yeah.
Said, am I looking too fat? Yeah. Well, then get fatter people around me. You should just get bad golfers around you.
I have bad golfers around me in the mornings. I'm worse than them.
Oh, see, it's gonna get worse. But
You see me?
Well, they play 5 times a week.
Yeah, but I play fast.
Get somebody who's just dreadful and be like, man, you stink.
That's me. Yeah, my clubs are now too
Your
long.
clubs are a little bit long for you, a little bit heavy.
I'm choking down on the clubs, though. Is that the right thing to do?
You're like my 5-year-old in T-ball.
You know, I'm just no good. As Linda Ronstadt said, you're no good, you're no good, you're no good. You're just no good. Now we'll get out of here. Who's next? Chuck Todd?
That's right.
I'm Tony Kornheiser.
You're listening to the Tony
And another long touchdown from Ohio State, 14-3. Shocking.
Kornheiser Show. Tony Kornheiser Show.
This is Simply Safe read. Have you ever felt a sense of unease when you leave your home, wondering if everything will be safe when you're away? My sense of unease is I will forget where I live. I know I have. But don't wait until something bad happens. Protect your home and your possessions now with a great security system from Simply Safe. Just ask Nigel, who's been using Simply Safe to protect his home for several months. What do you have to say about that?
I love it. It's the sense of security that you get with it. It's also very easy to set up. Either you can do it yourself, which I'm not really able to. You can have people install for you.
That's why you have the cats.
That's why the cats help me with it.
Yeah.
The cats are safe now with Simply Safe. Did it
So-
take a long time to do a 15,000 square foot house, or not as long as you might think?
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Simply Safe agents can act within 5 seconds of receiving your alarm with Fast Protect monitoring, can even see and speak to intruders to
Yes.
stop them in their tracks. You'll never be locked into a long-term contract, so you can cancel at any time. Pricing is transparent and affordable, less than $1 a day, with no hidden fees ever. Simply Safe has also been named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report for 5 years running. Offers the best customer service and home security according to Newsweek. Easy to install, as Nigel said, and activate your Simply Safe system in less than an hour. Or you can choose professional installation and have a pro do it for you. Protect your home with 50% off a new Simply Safe system. Wow, 50% off.
Yeah.
Plus a free indoor security camera when you sign up for Fast Protect monitoring. Just visit simplysafe.com/Tony. That's simplysafe.com/Tony. SIMPLI, people. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
This is the Tony Kornheiser Show.
This is the Grammarly read. Your time and expertise are valuable, and with professionals spending nearly half the work week on written communication, focus is one of the most important things for you to have at work. With Grammarly as your AI writing partner, you can stay focused and get through your work faster with relevant, real-time suggestions wherever you write. Just download Grammarly for free at grammarly.com/podcast. Grammarly helps you speed through the drafting and editing process while staying on task. It will also help you to write and edit quickly with context-aware suggestions everywhere you write. Plus, Grammarly works across more than 500,000 apps and websites, and 93% of professionals report that Grammarly helps them get more work done. This comes easy to me, you know that. I wrote for a living. I talk for a living now. I can do this. It doesn't scare me. But if it scares you, if it makes you the slightest bit apprehensive, go to something that will help you.
Yes.
Don't call me. I'm not going to take your call. Get Grammarly. Get more done with Grammarly. Download Grammarly for free at grammarly.com/podcast. That's grammarly.com/podcast.
You're listening to the Tony Kornheiser Show. Tony Kornheiser Show.
This comes to us from our friend Mike Kinsella, who writes, "Hello, gentlemen. My band, American Football, is celebrating the 25th anniversary of our first album this year. We'll be playing it in its entirety at the Howard Theater on October 24th and 25th. So that's tomorrow?
Tomorrow and Friday, yeah.
Tomorrow and Friday at the Howard Theater. Just wanted to extend a sincere invitation to any and all of you bigs to come out, hang out, drink our beer and wine. I've been a fan for decades. Would love to express some appreciation in person." That's very, very nice. This is a song called Never Meant. This is American Football. And they're good.
They're really good.
American
It's
Football.
legit great band.
Yeah.
Not everyone's great who sings music, but
Yes, yeah. And they play in Chuck Todd, who had a great week last week, was 6-0 until the Monday night game where he had Tampa Bay and Baltimore won that game and won it by scoring at 1.34 points in a row. And nobody's going to take Tampa Bay again ever because they don't have Godwin and they don't have Evans and they cannot win games. They are not going to win any more games. And I bring that up because we have a Tampa Bay game on the card for Chuck. But 6-1, like you are ahead. Everybody else who is a human is under 500 substantially, and the Simeon who bets against you is only one game over, and you're at the moment 28-19. You're like +9.
Just don't ask me about the election. I feel pretty good about football. But are you sure Carvel's human?
I think he's human.
Okay,
I think
all right.
he's human. He keeps
There's a chance
losing.
he's alien. There's a chance he's alien.
He keeps losing. And I feel terrible because it means that at some point he's going to pass on being on the show. Last year had such a great year, and this year he's doing things like betting on over-under. I would never bet over-under. I think it's too... You're betting two teams there, not one. I wouldn't do it.
He's not focused. He's pretty distracted by the campaign right now. So we can give him a little excuse here.
Okay.
And maybe he'll pick it up after November 5th.
Let me do this. Read this week's picks with Chuck Todd and Reginald the Monkey are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbooks. Book, make every moment more. Let's start with this. Minnesota, which lost for the first time at home the other day to Detroit in a really good game. They're at the Los Angeles Rams, who aren't any good. They're just not good. They're not what they were, although maybe Cooper Kupp gets back or something like that, or maybe he gets traded. Nobody really knows what's going on with the Rams at the moment. This is the Thursday night game, but the Rams are home. Minnesota has to travel to the Thursday night game after getting beat at home. Minnesota is a 3-point favorite on the road. Who do you like in this one?
Well, I'm leery now of just blindly going with home team on Thursday night, given this home team. And I just couldn't believe that Cooper Kupp. You don't reel that back in.
No.
Cooper Kupp on the trade, on the trading block. So you gotta think that impacts the team. That they're on some form of quit watch, I guess, on this front. So I'm just going to take Minnesota just because of that. I can't. The Rams look. I mean, that's sending a message that you're waving the white flag.
Yes, without question. Without question.
So give me the Vikes.
Okay. Philadelphia is at Cincinnati. I don't know that Cincinnati wins games at home. I mean, I know they've lost a few games at home this year. Philadelphia is +2.5. Cincinnati is a favorite at home, which I don't think has happened all year. Philadelphia's coming out of a pretty good win, I think.
Yeah, against the Giants.
Although you never know with Nick Sirianni. You never know. At the moment, Philadelphia is a complete question mark, and Cincinnati appears to be battling back. Would you take the 2.5, or would you give it?
Well, you do see a difference in Philadelphia when A.J. Brown is helping.
Great player.
That's a much different offense on that front. Man, this is a coin flip game to me. I hope it's entertaining. It could be really entertaining. This could be a 38-35 game.
Yep.
Something like that. I'm kind of hoping for that. So I'll go with the Bengals just out of the home field, but that's not a ringing endorsement there. This one, I don't have any feel that one could go either way.
Okay. The Falcons are at Tampa Bay. The Falcons, who just lost the other day, and that was a bad loss at home to Seattle. That was a bad loss. Tampa Bay has no wide receivers. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are out. They have and those guys are good. They're really good. Baker Mayfield is having a wonderful year, silencing doubters up and down the East Coast and West Coast, including Wilbon, who hates him. But he has no wide receivers at the moment, none. And the Falcons are a road favorite 2.5.
So we have four teams that may have. We have three of the four NFC North teams have 5 wins. The fourth team is 4-2, the Bears. And the NFC South gets a playoff team?
Yeah, a home game too.
Like they get
got a home game.
playoff team out of all this. I guess it's going to be Atlanta, right? Tampa's they're dropping like flies. The Saints are pretenders, and obviously they isn't going to be the Panthers. So it's your dancing Home Depot founder there.
Yeah, Arthur Blank.
The dancing blanks there. I don't have faith in them either. I would love to take Tampa here, but you're right. Who does he throw the ball to?
I don't know.
Who catches the football? So give me Atlanta.
Okay. I should point out to people who listen, we pick these games for Chuck. Chuck wouldn't pick these games. Jeff Mott picks his own games. James Carville picks his own games. The monkey
Yeah, I
picks
picked
his
my
own
own
nose.
nose.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Indianapolis is at Houston. Houston coming out of a bad loss. I mean, a late loss to Green Bay, sort of kind of heartbreaking loss to Green Bay. Indianapolis is getting 5.5. I guess Anthony Richardson is solid now and back. 5.5 is a lot of points. That's a division game, I think. Houston's a better team, but are you confident that they're going to beat them by 6 or more?
Packers should have won that game by double digits. They were always in control of that game. They just turned the ball over. They had a couple of times some bad special teams. So that didn't, and you can kind of, Houston's not the same without Nico Collins.
Did you see the line? Did you see the line on C.J. Stroud? 86 yards passing in 21 attempts. It's awful.
Yeah. So when you're booking Jordan Love versus C.J. Stroud, I think we know who won round one there.
That's right.
That's for sure. I agree that 5.5's a lot, but that Indianapolis defense, they can make any. That's a good get right spot for Houston. They'll roll. I think they roll here. Houston.
You think Houston rolls?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Buffalo, which got something out of its new wide receiver, Amari Cooper, whereas the Jets did not with Devontae Adams. Buffalo's at Seattle. It's all the way across the country. Seattle had this really nice win in Atlanta. I don't think Seattle's any good, but they have a good enough record. They're leading the NFC West. Buffalo is better with Amari Cooper. There is no question about that. Buffalo is conceivably a Super Bowl team, certainly in the running for it, in the AFC, which is harder than the NFC. Will you take Buffalo and give 3 all the way across the country?
By the way, did you see the one thing Devontae Adams did contribute to the Jets?
No, what did he do?
He ran down that guy to prevent a pick 6.
Oh, okay.
He made the tackle. It was like nobody else at the Jets. It was sort of like, well, at least he's got energy, and at least he's got fight. There's another one that could be just a fun game to watch with not a lot of defense. Seattle and Buffalo there. Seattle, are they good? Or are they just the team that beats the bad teams? Like they know how to beat the bad teams, but they can't beat the good teams. And that's what I fear here. Give me Buffalo, because I just think Seattle's one of these teams that'll be close-ish, but they seem, when they step up, they just come up short, like they did against Detroit. So that's what I'm assuming here.
Okay. The Chicago Bears are at Washington. This is the Michael Wilbon game of the year because it has the quarterback from Gonzaga High School that he loves so much, Caleb Williams, and he loves Jaden Daniels as well at this point, and he wants Chicago to win because he's a Chicago Bears fan. Chicago Bears are favored by 1.5. I don't know if Jaden Daniels is going to play. Nobody knows at the moment. But there doesn't seem to be reason to believe he's not going to play. Because I think that you would know by now. It would be sort of being discussed out there that he's in bad shape and is not going to play. So I'm going to assume he's going to play, and Chicago's a 1.5 point favorite. This is going to be a national game, and their records.
It was flexed. Did you see that?
No. Yeah, they flexed into it. Yeah.
Yeah, this was originally supposed to be at 1 o'clock, and
this is a very attractive game because of the quarterbacks, and both teams are significantly better than you thought they were going to be. Who do you like in this?
I'm taking Washington with points no matter who's the quarterback. What really impressed me was how there was no drop-off in the system.
Because Cliff Kingsbury knows what he's doing.
Yes. You're like, if you needed to understand the biggest difference between an offensive coordinator that knows what they're doing and Eric Bieniemy, you got it this week. I mean, that to me is always a test of coaching. Is what's the drop-off look like? And there wasn't much. And I don't, so I'm willing to take the Commanders getting, what's this, I don't know. What do you think this line is if we know Daniels is healthy?
I think it's closer to even,
maybe even Commanders.
maybe by one. I mean, the Bears have been
more
good.
comfortable.
The other kid, Caleb Williams, has shown, the graph on him shows solid, steady improvement.
Then you look at who he played, though, and it's been like Jacksonville.
Okay.
It's been, it's Carolina, right? It hasn't,
Well, Washington's
and then, the Washington defense isn't great, although it does feel like they at least get slightly better, right? They're not.
I just don't think you can make any judgment based on playing Carolina. I just don't.
Yeah, you're right.
So
You're right.
They're so
Or even
terrible.
Mariota looks like a Heisman. Oh yeah, that guy did win a Heisman Trophy, didn't he?
well, Marcus Mariota was some years back Jaden Daniels. He was the second player taken in the draft behind the same position at one. He was behind Jameis Winston. It did not work out well for both of them. It did not. But it's the exact same setup as Jaden Daniels behind Caleb Williams. It is.
And not only that, they both won Heisman.
Yes.
Caleb won a Heisman the year before, just like Jameis won a Heisman.
That's right.
The year before, and then Jaden, and Mariota. You're right. There's a lot of symmetry there, and we think Jameis gets his first start, right? By the way, this week.
I think so.
That game, but
I think so.
I think he gets his first start.
His first start in a while, and he started for years. I mean, yeah.
I'm comfortable with the Commanders with Mariota this week.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it. Should be. I mean, Washington is actually games you want to see on television.
That's right.
And actual television networks want to have them.
That's right.
What a change.
One more game. Dallas is at San Francisco. Dallas is getting 4.5. 4.5 points at San Francisco. San Francisco don't have any players. They're all hurt all the time. This is the Sunday night game. If San Francisco loses this game, it really feels like time to stick a fork in them. That they're
Do you think that, though?
I don't know. If the players come back, it's different. I'm tired of Dallas.
Division is
I'm tired of Dallas.
by the way.
This will get a huge rating.
Yeah, I just think that division is. I've thought about this. Is it do or die for San Francisco, or is that division so weak?
The division's terrible with the Rams and Seattle.
Yeah, they can go 9-8 and probably
That's right.
win that division. Right?
That's right. You're right. You're right.
So is it a must win for Dallas?
Does Dallas have must wins? I thought they've already lost all of these games.
Or are they already toast, right? What are they, 3-3, 3-4, something like that?
They're not any good.
Yeah, I don't know who's left on San Francisco, but I just hesitate to bet against Shanahan, who I feel like cares about games in the spotlight. Like he wants to make people, make sure people know he's a good coach.
You give 4.5. It's a lot.
That's a lot of points,
Sunday
though.
night. It's a lot.
That is a lot. That is a lot, but I'm going to give it.
Okay.
I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Screw Dallas.
All right. Thank you. Let's talk. Chuck Todd, boys and girls. If we just gave you Chuck Todd, that'd be more than enough. Because he's killing it. He's 28-19. But we do better than that because we give you a monkey.
See the monkey, he's scratching, watching his iPad, smoking and laughing, hanging with Bud Grant, tapping on his purple attache. Nigel's going to the zoo. Reginald's got the spine too. Sometimes he throws a poo. When he's had too much Johnny Walker.
Play the original song. I see.
Well, we like to keep people happy.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, that is a great version of it, so we all love that. So
Reginald was 1-2 last week. He's 11-10.
still over 500.
Still over
Feeling
500.
good about that. I went down to the National Zoo yesterday, and as it often is, a very chaotic scene there. He was busy making preparations to embark on a grand expedition. Now, as you all well know, he is a massive fan of Around the World in 80 Days. So finally, he's been able to get the funding to launch an expedition to replicate Around the World in 80 Days.
In a balloon.
Well, the first leg, yes, is
In a balloon.
in a hot air balloon over the Atlantic. I told him I didn't think that was a particularly good idea, particularly in the hurricane season, but he was hell-bent on moving forward with it, and he's got 3 people who are going to join him on this, so he feels good about his team. Who was it? It was Pierce Brosnan is there,
Yeah.
Stevie Cawthon, and Twiggy. Apparently, all of them have been massive fans of this project. They're talking about this for decades, so very happy for them that they're going to be able to do it.
Would never have put those 3 together.
I know.
Like them all. Mike, come on.
It's an odd pairing. Not sure they came to meet each other, but there you have it.
Well, Twiggy and Steve Coffin are light, so they won't weigh down the balloon.
Exactly. It's a balance thing. Yes.
Right.
And you've got to have a James Bond with you.
Sure.
Yeah, you must. So the first match we gave him was Philly getting 2.5 at Cincinnati. And Reginald showed me a photograph of him playing pickleball with Mike Schmidt, Eric Lindros, Harold Carmichael, and Billie Jean King. Of course, her ties for freedom. Yes, so that tells me he loves Philly, and he'll get the 2.5. Now the next
Elton John not in there though.
No, I think he's in the stands cheering him on. Yes, not a big pickleball player. No. Sir Elton. Sorry, excuse me. Now the next match we gave him was Washington at home against the Bears, getting a 1.5. And this is a very old photograph of him scuba diving with Richie Pettibone, Clint Didier, and Mike Nelms. Probably.
So he's going to go with Washington.
Yeah, he's going to go with Washington.
As the Chuck. They will overlap.
I think they agree that whoever's playing quarterback, they look good. And the last one we gave him was the Monday night game, Sunday night game rather. The Cowboys getting 4.5 at the 49ers, and this was just a lovely photo of him at a barbecue eating ribs with let's see, Gary Hogeboom, Daryl Johnston, and Troy Aikman. So that tells me he loves Dallas.
He's going to take Dallas and then.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. This week's picks with Chuck Todd and Reginald the Monkey have been brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. We'll come back with Tim Kirkchin. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
You're listening to the Tony Kornheiser Show.
This is the Liquid IV read. There's so much to love about October. Make sure you're at your best with Liquid IV's new hydration multiplier plus immune support mango passion fruit.
Need it in our house.
With 5 times the daily value of vitamin C and 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, you can give your body the immune support it needs while treating yourself to a taste of the tropics. You guys have this, right?
Oh, sure. I don't have the mango passion fruit, but now I think I need to get that. I just got the golden cherry, though, which was a huge pickup thanks to the Liquid IV Robin Hood that is Tony Kornheiser. We were out of town, and I get a message, there is a package on your steps. So I picked it up.
I said I picked it up, right, because I didn't want anybody in the fashionable neighborhood you live in to just porch drop and take all your stuff.
Yeah.
So I took it home. And it turned out it was actually addressed to me.
Oh, how about
It's
that?
for you. It's for you. It's the Liquid IV.
Mr. Porthauser?
Here's how it works. Tear, pour, live more. 1 stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. It's powered by LIV Hydroscience, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. Support everyday wellness with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code TonyK at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using the promo code TonyK at liquidiv.com. Use the code, people.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, you know to check you have the tickets in your wallet first before you drive 2 hours to the big game. Seriously, you had one job. Now the closest you'll get to the 50-yard line is parking lot D. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
This is the Tony Kornheiser Show.
This is T.R. Kingston, who sends us his new song, or one of his new songs, called On the Breeze, and then in parentheses, Michael Stipe. I don't really know what that means. Michael Stipe is the
Lead singer for REM. Yes.
Yeah, so I don't really know what it means. But that's, maybe T.R. Kingston could just write us a little note saying, let me explain this to you so you understand. Again, the song is called Be on the Breeze, Michael Stipe. And it plays in Tim Kirkchin. And I got a lot of questions for Tim about the World Series, but the news overnight that Fernando Valenzuela has passed away at age 63 dominates this, and we have to start with that. I'm going to assume that you covered some Fernando Valenzuela games. I'm going to assume that you have opinions about him. There is no question that if you were to use the word phenomenon, that's what Fernando Valenzuela was when he entered the big leagues as a starter, and Tommy Lasorda just gave him the ball and said, go. And he had the greatest rookie year that anybody's ever had. Rookie of the year, Cy Young, and won a World Series. I mean, it's okay. It's nobody's ever going to do better than that. That's the best you can do. Your thoughts immediately on Fernando?
Well, he is one of the great phenomenon of all time in baseball, and certainly the greatest in the time that I've been covering. Tony, the first 8 starts of that 1981 season, he went 8-0 with 8 complete games, 5 shutouts, 4 earned runs in 72 innings. Guys don't have 4 career shutouts. Great pitchers. Jacob deGrom has like 4 career shutouts. This guy had 5 in the first 8 starts of 1981. There had never been a pitcher who burst upon the scene like him. And he wasn't even supposed to be in the rotation in 81 until Jerry Royce got hurt. So Tommy Lasorda just flipped him in, and then he did that. It was unbelievable to watch him in 1981. There's never been anybody quite like him. And, of course, he had this great presence. He had this great color and style to him. He used to look up at the sky instead of at the target.
Rolled his eyes.
He went into his windup. Never seen anybody do it quite like that. And, of course, he was Mexican, and in the LA culture, he was a cult hero before he even started. And then he did all of this. It's an amazing story, and the most amazing story of it all, Tony, in that 81 World Series, in Game 3, he beat the Yankees 5-4. He pitched the entire game. He gave up 16 base runners, 9 hits, and 7 walks, and they left him in, and he finished the game 141-7 pitches, complete game victory in the World Series. We don't go 5 innings in a World Series game today. He went the route, allowing 16 base runners because they knew he was still the best guy in the 9th inning to get the last guy out.
I would just point out that in that 8-0 start, he is that phenomenon that we've talked about. His ERA was 0.50. Man, that's his ERA.
Tony, 4 earned runs, 72 innings, all complete games. Unbelievable.
Yeah. He's not in the Hall of Fame. He's in the Dodgers Hall of Fame. He's not in the Hall of Fame. I don't know that he necessarily should be in the Hall of Fame, but he was far larger a presence than most people ever in baseball. And the Dodgers, and people need to remember this, and I'll get out of the way and let Tim talk about it. The Dodgers are based on pitching, not hitting. You know, the Dodgers have Don Newcomb, and the Dodgers have Johnny Padres, and they have Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale and Oral Hershiser and Clayton Kershaw and Fernando Valenzuela, right? That's the culture. It's pitching with the Dodgers.
Yes, absolutely. It's the greatest pitching franchise in baseball history. When you have to decide between Clayton Kershaw and Sandy Koufax as the greatest Dodger pitcher ever, when Don Sutton won more games than any Dodger pitcher, and Don Newcomb just burst upon the scene and won the Cy Young in 1956, and then you got this guy, and then you got Oral Hershiser, who did what he did in 1988, unprecedented, his postseason following that regular season. Yes, some of the most famous pitchers of all time are on the Dodgers, and I think you could make a case the Dodgers have the most famous pitching staff, if you put them all together, in the history of baseball. Every one of them that we mentioned did something spectacular in their time.
So this leads us into the World Series that I want, that you want, that everybody but Wilbon wants. The Yankees and the Dodgers. Do you remember 1981? You remember 1976? You remember any of these past World Series?
I covered one game in the 81 World Series, so I was covering baseball at that time. Now, 77 to 78, I was, a senior in college, junior, senior in college, but I remember distinctly Reggie Jackson in 77, Game 6, hit 3 home runs.
Hey, Nebraska just made a 54-yard field goal, and we're only down 14-6 at halftime. That's about the best possible first half Nebraska could have hoped for. Not getting embarrassed. Go Big Red. Woo! Let's see how the second half is. Might be speaking too soon.
3 different pitchers, and and he saw a total of 3 pitches and hit 3 homers to end the World Series right there. 78 World Series was great. The way the Dodgers came back to win in 81 was spectacular. There's no way around this, Tony. The Dodger-Yankee rivalry is the greatest postseason October rivalry in baseball history. They played in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Every year they played a World Series in those decades, and now we're going to take all this time off, and now we get these 2 teams playing in 2024. It's impossible not to love where we are in this.
Between the 2 of us, one of us was at the Reggie Jackson game. I was at the Reggie Jackson game, and I remember that distinctly. I don't think that the Dodgers-Yankees also have the most famous World Series game, but it's Don Larson, right? It's Don Larson. That's the most famous. To me, maybe I'm wrong. What do you think?
Oh, there's no doubt that's the most famous game in the Dodger-Yankee rivalry because he pitched a perfect game.
Yeah.
No way around that. And, and the following year earlier, of course, the Dodgers had finally beaten the Yankees in 55.
Johnny Padres.
And then in 56, the Yankees came back to win, and the key game in there was a perfect game.
Yeah. I'm assuming Freddie Freeman will be healthy because it's a week. You're getting a week off. Do we make that assumption he'll be healthy?
I think he's going to play, Tony. I'm not certain he's going to be 100% healthy. Anyone who's rolled their ankle knows how long it takes to really get your ankle better if he hurt it as badly as I think he did. So do I think he'll play? Absolutely. Do I think he'll be good? Yes. Do I think he'll be the Freddie Freeman that we're used to seeing? Maybe not, because when you don't have your legs under you, it's really difficult to hit and play in the big leagues, and he just hasn't been himself since he hurt that ankle.
I am assuming that the arms will be rested. The Dodgers put their relievers through an enormous task in the playoffs so far. I'm assuming the great benefit here is rested arms on both sides.
Yes, that's the best benefit, Tony, of this rest that we get. We lose the momentum of baseball when we don't play from, Sunday, and then we pick it up on Friday. But the good thing is the Yankees will be...
By the way, Tim Kirkjian was just talking about Freddie Freeman possibly not being as good as he normally is because of his ankle. Yeah, he had a game-winning grand slam in Game 1, so he's doing all right.
Line up all of their starters in order. And the Dodgers, who have a much more difficult pitching situation given all the injuries they faced, can at least get all their relievers ready. Just the one warning is, Tony, in this era where we start relief pitchers in a game, as the Dodgers did twice in the NLCS, by Game 7, you can wear those relievers out if you pitch them in all 7 games. We've seen it in the postseason. Just another reminder that we must return the value of the starting pitcher to the game today. But that's not where we are right now. So both teams are rested in their pitching, which is great. We just don't want either team to be exhausted in their pitching by overusing their relievers over the next 10 days.
The Yankees have the most solid starter out there in Garrett Cole. He's the number 1 guy. All things being equal, I assume you're indicating you think the Yankees have better pitching, starting, and relieving.
Definitely they have better starting pitching. That Dodger bullpen is filled with nasty stuff. So I put nothing past that Dodger bullpen. That Yankee bullpen was awfully good in the postseason. Tony, here's why we love baseball so much. Their closer, Luke Weaver, had a 5.10 ERA in his career until this year. And then he found something. The light went on. He made a slight adjustment to his four-seam grip and his changeup grip, and now he's great. The great NBA jump shooters don't just become great at age 31. That's what happens to this guy. And he had a great postseason other than one bad appearance. The rest has been good.
Yes, he and Class A were like terrible. Was that Game 4? Is that what it was? Game 4?
It was Game 3.
Game 3.
Which, Tony, by the way, was the top 5 game I've ever seen.
It's a great game.
I covered it for ESPN Radio.
It's great.
Tony, I think 3, 4, and 5 together, back to back to back were almost the three greatest playoff games back to back to back that I've ever seen. 2001, the 3, 4, 5 in New York were unbelievable. Those three in Cleveland really came close to matching it.
Yeah, those are great games. And the playoffs, baseball has been great. The playoffs have been great. To me, the wild card in all of this is Giancarlo Stanton. I mean, I look at the top three players on the Dodgers, Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman, and I think, wow, they're all going to the Hall of Fame. They've all been MVPs. But if Stanton hits, Soto, Judge, and Stanton, I don't know how you get through that as a pitcher without being dinged up. I mean, they're just too good, right?
Yeah.
Or am I wrong?
No, you're right. Giancarlo Stanton is officially now one of the greatest postseason players of all time. When it comes to home run per at-bat percentage, the list is, as you like to say, Babe Ruth and Giancarlo Stanton. That's it. That's the list. When you look at Yankee production in the postseason, as far as times at bat and what you do, it's Ruth Gehrig and Giancarlo Stanton. So I asked Aaron Boone, like, what is it about him? You can get him out so easily on a Tuesday night in June, and yet in October he's devastating. He said he loves the lights and he loves the noise. And now he's going home to Southern California where he won the MVP of the All-Star game. And there's no telling what destruction he might bring. Because I'm telling you, Tony, the strength that he possesses is just absurd how far he hits it. And he's not even the best hitter in the lineup. Aaron Judge is a better hitter than he is.
That's right.
And Juan Soto is a better hitter than Aaron Judge. That's who the Dodgers are up against. A 2, 3, 4 hitters that we haven't seen in a long, long time in the same World Series.
And I agree with all of that. But I think it also needs to be said that the most charismatic player in this thing is Shohei Ohtani. That Shohei Ohtani in his first trip to the playoffs suddenly finds himself in the World Series, and that although he started out not hitting the ball particularly well, by the end of that series he was driving in runs, he was hitting the ball well, he was impossible to get out. Mania couldn't get him out the second game, got him out in the first game, couldn't really get him out in the second game. My attention is on him, on Shohei. How about you?
It should be Tony. He's the most remarkable player we've ever seen.
That's right.
He played the most games of any active player without a postseason appearance until this year. And then he went out and reached base 17 times in the NLCS. That is a record of times reaching base.
9 walks.
Tony, yeah, just ridiculous. When it was clear he couldn't pitch this year, he just said, okay, what can I do that no one else has done? So he goes 50-50 with room to spare, and now he's off to a great postseason start. So we have to acknowledge something incredible is going to happen from Ohtani in the World Series, because he just decides to do things and then he does them.
I look forward to it. I know you look forward to it. We all look forward to it. I hope it's great. I hope it lives up to it. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tony. See you.
Tim Kirchin, boys and girls. We will take a break. We will come back with email and jingle. Sean is here. He just walked in. I just thought everybody should know that. If you wonder where's Sean, well, Sean's here. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
This is the Tony Kornheiser Show. Tony Kornheiser Show.
This is a Game Time read. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that make getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You do this.
Yeah, do you think Jared is using this for Game 3 of the NLCS?
Garrett's got tickets in New York. I guess it's called
Filter.
City Field now.
City Field. Yeah, City Field.
Game 3, Game 4. Jared
Filter, row 1.
Yeah, Jared got on the plane last night. He's very excited. He's going to watch them both. Yeah.
Sure.
Game Time Picks curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Game Time's all-in pricing shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. And Game Time has my favorite feature, Seat Views. This lets you get panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code TONY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code TONY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. It's a good line. It is. It's a good line. Use the code.
You're listening to the Tony Kornheiser Show.
My favorite. Not Pink Angle. It's my favorite.
So good.
It is my favorite.
It's so good.
I love that more. I love that more. You want to do the Bethesda Bagel Land? Sean walked in just in time to get a bagel.
Yeah. That's
Very
well.
lucky.
He knows how to time things. Bethesda Bagels, we love them. You will as well. Just go to BethesdaBagels.com for the location in the DC area nearest you. Then pop one in, my friend, and you will be thrilled.
That's it for us today. Before we get to the mailbag, let me just say I'm standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona. It's such a fine sight to see. There's a girl, my lord, in a flatbed Ford slowing down and take a look at me. Come on, baby. Don't say maybe. I got to know if your sweet love is going to save me. So we may lose and we may win, though we will never be here again. Open up, I'm climbing in. Take it easy. Those are the Eagles. I think Jackson Brown helped write that song.
I think
that is true. Glenn Fry did the Winslow, Arizona stuff.
Yeah, because I think Jackson Brown was having trouble putting it together.
Living in an apartment beneath.
Right, and I think Glenn said, "Oh yeah, stand on a corner. How's this sound?" And
Yeah.
Jackson Brown was like, "Yeah, that's better than anything else." So that was your song.
So, that's a great song. Thanks to our guests today, Chuck Todd and Tim Kirkchin. Thanks as well to today's sponsors. Remember, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Odyssey. If you get the show through Apple, please leave us a review. From Ed Campbell in Cincinnati, Ohio. Imagine my utter surprise when a fellow Little made mention of the Candy Wrapper Museum on the podcast. My friend Joe Lacey and the person to whom he is related by marriage, Darlene, are the curators of the Candy Wrapper Museum, and I performed their wedding many years ago. They are also the creative forces behind Maiden Wine, a now defunct website devoted entirely to the musical stylings of Leonard Nimoy. What? What? Although I assume they have absolutely no clue what a Little is, please let me thank you on their behalf for the mention. Isn't that wonderful? Wow. From Jason Bullitt. Chuck and Roxy, episode 31, Saratoga County, New York. If we're playing the unusual museum game, how does the following grab you? The National Bottle Museum in Ballston Spa, New York, down the road from my hometown of Saratoga Springs. What's in the museum, you ask? Bottles. That's it. That's the list. Stan Fleming, Ellicott City, Maryland. Like you, I recently had a colonoscopy. Everything went well until I was in recovery, and the doctor told me that I have an unusual blend in my upper colon, and his equipment didn't allow him to see everything. He referred me to a specialist that has different equipment for a follow-up colonoscopy. I get to do it all again. P.S. Definitely drink the Prep cold and with a flavoring. Also, finish each glass of Prep with a shot of apple juice. It kills the aftertaste. I didn't know that.
I don't know if this email made the cut, but somebody said something about clear cranberry juice also is something you can
Clear?
Yeah, which I'd never
I don't
encountered
know what
before.
that is. I don't know. Okay. From
Pepsi Clear?
Ben Aber, age 39 in Renton, Washington. 1946 home. Kitchen remodeled at least 3 times. 32 kitchen outlets. That's a lot.
That is.
6 above the counter on the left side of the sink, 4 on the left side of the lower cabinet, 8 above the counter on the right side of the sink. Wow. 6 at the far right of the counter, 2 on an unused wall, 2 behind the microwave, and finally 4 below the microwave. That's good. David Epstein, New York, New York. I'm wondering if you're aware of a lovely little tradition that developed at Citi Field this season. I attended all the Mets home playoff games, so I don't know if it made it to the national broadcast. Roughly around the time Francisco Lindor was moved to the leadoff spot in May, he changed his walk-up music to the Temptations' classic My Girl. The loudspeaker music stops when Lindor enters the batter's box so as not to interfere with play, but the crowd finishes the verse through at least the singing of the first My Girl lyric. It's a terrific communal moment, which grew in volumes each week as Lindor continued to perform his heroics. This all culminated in Game 5 of the NLCS when the Mets brought out the Temptations, or I suppose more accurately, a Temptation, Otis Williams, because he's the only one remaining. He's the only one living. And 4 others to sing the national anthem, and then a live rendition of My Girl. The crowd loved it. I thought you would appreciate there's still room for such a classic song and group in the world of modern baseball. That's a very smart thing to have done.
Yeah, and I think they had something with Grimace, like from McDonald's.
Yeah.
It was like a rally thing for them or something.
Yeah, we'll see some long.
Yeah.
That's the purple one?
Yeah, the purple guy. Yeah.
Who cares? Steve the Sycophant. Just wanted to let you know, in case your charming wife hasn't, the Hallmark Channel is already in full Christmas mode. I know. Here's a few titles from the weekend. Picture a Perfect Christmas, Never Kiss a Man in a Christmas Sweater, and best of all, Mystic Christmas, in which a woman reconnects with the owner of Rehabilitation Center and Aquarium during the Rehab Center and an Aquarium. Why bother with football when this Hallmark cornucopia of joy is available? From Nathan Ackerell, Charlotte, North Carolina. While shopping at Trader Joe's today, I came across some coleslaw in the refrigerated section. I was tempted to ask the employee nearby if they had any coleslaw that resembles ham. From Justin Johnson, Arlington, Virginia. I finally tried that grilled cheese thing with Duke's mayo. It was pretty good. Tell Michael.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Greg Filson from Santa Barbara. I am always amazed by the stories of other people's interconnectedness in this show, and I finally have my story. I was listening to another podcast, How Long Gone, that has nothing to do with sports. The guest, Mike Kinsella of the band American Football, was telling the host how he loves sports but doesn't have time to listen to many podcasts. He said he listens to one, and of course it's the Tony Kornheiser Show. This show connects us in ways we never imagined. Having a double scoop of McConnell's coffee ice cream to celebrate. Cheers.
Again, I think they're at the Howard Theater tomorrow night and Friday.
American Football.
Yes.
Michael M. Norwood, professional development career coach, Honors Carolina. This is, we met at the golf tournament. My son was back in North Carolina, and we of course had to end up back at Pinehurst. Does this count as a David Aldridge moment? Found it on Pinehurst number 3. Oh, so I found a ball with the initials DG.
Oh, DG.
A yellow ball.
You missing one?
DG sounds great.
Let's travel back to Florida.
So we met when we were at Pinehurst when we were going to play 10. We were going to play 10. Yeah, so it's very nice. Jimmy Golan, Boston. I was catching up on old pods when I heard Nigel describe the Olympic beach volleyball match where things got tense and the DJ played Imagine to help calm things down.
That's right.
I know that story. I wrote that story while covering the Olympics for the Associated Press, and I want to volunteer as the show's official beach volleyball correspondent. Then I could tell Will Graves to eat it. And then Jimmy writes, Chuck and Roxy, call me. Dan Fleshner, New Haven, Connecticut. I just wanted to give you a heads up that I recently had a great experience getting blood drawn. I was in and out in 6 minutes. That's right, 6 minutes. So the next time you need to have blood drawn, I recommend you try out the Yale New Haven Health Center on Goose Lane in Guilford, Connecticut. Well, Google Maps say it's about 5.5 hours from your house, but Wilbon will tell you you can do it in just 2 and a half. Yeah, so this is wonderful. These are all wonderful. If you're out on your bike tonight, everyone, as always, do wear white.
Yeah, here's the thing. We're not the Wonders right now. We're Captain Geach and the Shroom Shack Shooters.
All right, so we are still at halftime of the Nebraska-Ohio State game. Ohio State up 14-6, which Nebraska fans, including myself, are thrilled about. Best we could hope for against Ohio State. Indiana leads Washington in the third quarter, I think 17-10. Notre Dame is beaten up on Navy 31-7, I think, at halftime. Those are the college football early scores from Saturday, October 26, 2024. We'll see how the second half goes, specifically for the Nebraska game. But we are now moving on to the Friday, October 25th episode of the Tony Kornheiser Show. So this will be on the day of Game 1 of the World Series, which the Los Angeles Dodgers defeated the New York Yankees on a grand slam in the bottom of the 10th inning, thanks to Freddie Freeman.
Hey, it's Tony. On today's show, we'll go around the NFL with Jason Lockenform. We'll also get weekly picks from James Carville and Jeff Ma. But first, commerce. Peace of mind. Pine Spring water contains naturally occurring minerals and electrolytes. All of their bottles are made from 50...
Back to your golf game, reminds me of what Rodney Dangerfield did in that movie where he was going back to school.
Yeah.
Said, am I looking too fat? Yeah. Well, then get fatter people around me. I should just get fat golfers around me.
I have bad golfers around me in the mornings. I'm worse than them.
Well, they play 5 times a week.
Yeah.
Get somebody who's just dreadful and be like, man, you stink.
That's me. As Linda Ronstadt said, you're no good, you're no good, you're no good. You're just no good.
The Tony Kornheiser Show is on now.
World Series tonight. Very excited for that. World Series, Dodgers, Yankees. Very excited. We're going to have, this is a football show, so we're not going to talk about that. So be aware that I'm aware of that as well. college games this weekend include Illinois at Oregon, 2 ranked teams. Oregon ranked 1. Notre Dame, Navy, Alabama, Missouri. There's like 5 or 6 really interesting games, and the opportunity for Florida State to get pounded by Miami makes me happy. Florida State
Never getting the respect they deserve.
Yeah, they annoyed me so much last year, Florida State.
Yeah, how's that working out for them this year?
Just absolutely terrible. So,
Going back to game 1 tonight, can I just say how good your interview with Tim was the other day?
oh, thank
And
you.
the recall when you go on 3 pitches.
Yeah, 3 pitches, 3 different pitchers. First pitch he saw.
Yeah.
See you around, 3 home runs, Reggie Jackson. I wanted to update some of the things that happened in the last show or so, and then to tell you a story.
Is this about your headphones?
No, not about my headphones don't work. Sean, who we love, did something and my headphones don't work.
We get to announce his arrival again early next week.
That's okay. This is from T.R. Kingston, and he sent us the song On the Breeze, in parentheses, Michael Stipe, and I asked, what does that mean? So he writes this: I live in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada, home of the Peterborough Petes, the world's most storied junior hockey franchise. Among the banners that hang from the rafters are Steve Yzerman, Roger Nielsen, Bob Gainey, and Scotty Bowman, once the farm team of the Montreal Canadiens in the 50s and 60s. Peterborough is also featured in the famous young adult fiction story Scrubs on Skates by Scott Young, Neil Young's dad. Neil grew up just outside Peterborough in Unmimi, that little town in North Ontario, in Helpless, and is currently his home again and the location of Scott Young Public School. Wow. Scott Young was one of Canada's most famous sports journalists who Tony might enjoy reading about. I was aware that Neil Young's dad was a sports writer. Ken Dryden's book about Scotty is fantastic.
Ken Dryden, the goalie?
The goalie who wrote one of the greatest books of all time about hockey. It's just fantastic. He's a great writer.
He was, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he the analyst with Al?
Yes.
On the game?
Yes. FYI, Peterborough is in the middle of what some of us refer to as the Northern Delta, birthplace and childhood home of Neil Young, Gordon Lightfoot, and various members of the band. And this is very interesting, but it has nothing to do with what I asked, which is why is the song titled that? He said, oh, Tony asked, Be on the Breeze is an homage to the song Everybody Hurts by R.E.M. and their lead singer Michael Stipe. It's a song about friendship, but I'd still rather he talked about the Peterborough Petes, so we did cleared that up. In terms of public service, this comes to us from John Koval, who writes, is this the new game, public service announcements about personal health and giving blood? I didn't know that was the new game. If yes, then please indulge me. When I'm not leading the Littles on Peloton under the Lacheserie handle, I work for the healthcare company Abbott. Abbott recently teamed up with the Big Ten Conference to pit school against school in a nationwide blood donation competition. You see, the United States is experiencing the worst blood shortage in a generation. As blood only has a shelf life of 42 days. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did know
I
this.
thought it was sort of forever.
Yeah.
I thought you stacked it up and you did something to it and it worked whenever you used it.
Expired.
Blood only has a shelf life of 42 days, and hospitals typically need to maintain a week's supply of donated blood. Many hospitals currently have fewer than 2 days worth of blood on hand. That's bad, but here's how Littles can help. Students, alumni, fans, any Little, even if you never attended a Big Ten school, can donate at a mobile blood drive on their campus or walk into a blood donation center anywhere in the country. After you give blood, you go to www.big10.org/Abbott and log your donation and university of choice. It's as simple as uploading your post-donation confirmation email or a selfie of you donating. Well, I don't expect Dr. Porthauser to master this technology. I'm sure Michael can help. And here's the best thing. Apart from your donation, saving up to 3 lives each time you give. The school that drives the most blood donations during the 2024 football season will be honored by Abbott at the Big Ten Football Championship game with a $1 million donation to advance student or community health. Even better, individual donors will be offered a free 1-month subscription to the Big Ten Plus streaming service. That's pretty good.
That's lovely.
They'll also be entered to win a trip in the 2024 Big Ten Football Championship game. And if a Little were to win, I'll try to pull some strings and get them good parking. In case the Littles are wondering, as of Wednesday evening, more than 20,000 lives have been saved. Of the 18 Big Ten schools, always makes me laugh that the Big Ten now has 18 schools. Nebraska is currently in first place with 1,538 donors and 4,614 lives saved. And Northwestern is fourth from last. So tell Wilbon to eat it. This is from John Coble in Skokie, Illinois. We do that.
Yes, that's wonderful.
We do that. Here's one that's fascinating to me. This is from Ashley Porter, who who was the principal at the Morganton Road Elementary School in Fayetteville, North Carolina. The host of this fine podcast has commented in the past of his reverence and adoration of George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue, which I have said I believe is the greatest American piece of music ever written. This purely American icon is celebrating a most momentous birthday this year, as we now have been able to boast of this musical masterpiece for a century. Rhapsody in Blue, as most cultural milestones, has an interesting backstory that is entwined in its 17 minutes of enchantment. In November 1923, famed band leader Paul Whiteman, was preparing and planning a February 12, 1924 concert to be held in commemoration of Abraham Lincoln's birthday, and asked Gershwin to compose a concerto-like piece. Gershwin declined due to simply not having the requisite amount of time needed to produce the ask and have it be of the quality for which the Gershwins were widely known. While playing a game of pool several weeks earlier, George's brother Ira interrupted to read aloud to him an article in the New York Tribune which stated that an upcoming Paul Whiteman concert would feature music from George Gershwin, who was supposedly working on a jazz concerto for the event. A puzzled Gershwin called Whiteman the next day, who somehow persuaded Gershwin to accept the challenge, even though it would mean that he would only have around a month to compose the piece. Within days, Gershwin took a train trip to Boston, during which he was heavily influenced by the metallic and almost hypnotic noises, and he quickly pictured what he envisioned the piece to be. Later recounting to his biographer, "I heard it as a sort of musical kaleidoscope of America, our vast melting pot, of our unduplicated national pep, of our metropolitan madness. By the time I reached Boston, I had a definite plot of the piece as distinguished from its actual substance," unquote. On January 7, 1924, a 25-year-old Gershwin formally began work on what he called American Rhapsody. It was later that month that Ira, after attending an art exhibit and being taken by Whistler's Nocturne in Black and Gold, commented to his brother that he should rename it in the same vein. After giving it the now famous moniker, George submitted in just under 3 weeks the piece to his arranger, and on February 4th, only 28 days after beginning it, Rhapsody in Blue was fully complete and ready for the concert to be held 8 days later. The lengthy concert consisted of 26 musical pieces, with the program being parsed into 2 parts and 11 sections. Rhapsody in Blue was the penultimate section, and the understandably restless at the time audience heard the 23-piece orchestra, with Gershwin himself at the piano, began with what is now the world's most famous clarinet glissando. They were instantly transfixed. Upon the conclusion of the first puppet playing of Rhapsody in Blue, tumultuous applause led to not 1, not 2, but 5 encores. Not the automatic encore that rock and roll guys do. Right, not that. The piece was an instant smash success, garnering worldwide acclaim. In 3 short years, Whiteman and his orchestra would perform it nearly 100 times, with the recording selling over 1 million copies. Although Gershwin passed away at the age of 38, he was so young. So young. Just 13 years after penning the musical giant, he bestowed to his native country during his all too brief life what many would argue, I would argue, is the definitive American musical composition. I know that has nothing to do with this podcast, but I found it fascinating. I mean, I did. I just found it fascinating.
That really is.
You know, I mean, this is, to me, this is the greatest piece of American music. I mean, I'm not going to argue for, rock and roll tunes.
Well, my ding-a-ling.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. But I just think it's
just amazing. 25? Wrote it in a month, with 3 weeks essentially. It's a train ride.
This is what genius does.
Yes.
Genius reveals itself young.
Yeah.
How old was Einstein? He's in his 20s.
Yes. I think I figured this whole relatively.
How old was when Edison invented the phone? His 20s, 30s.
Yeah.
There's no genius at 60. It's over. It's done.
It's tough.
It's done at 50 probably. I mean, there may be some artistic things. If you've never done something before, right? If you're an artist, if you're Whistler's mother, and you've never done it before, and you're in your 60s or 70s or 80s, and suddenly it comes to you, well, your genius is revealed at a young age, given your background. But genius is revealed early in whatever it shows itself. Whatever it shows itself. Let me tell you a story. So you all know that Charlie Steiner and I are pals. Charlie grew up a couple of towns over from me. He grew up in Malvern. I grew up in Lynbrook. When I was very young, I lived on one side of Lynbrook, moved when I was about 9 or 10 to the other side of Lynbrook. But the first side, the Malvern side of Lynbrook, not the Hewlett side of Lynbrook, is where Charlie grew up. And my friend Jody Forstad, who's a doctor now and helps me all the time, and a friend of Charlie's, and was point guard on the Malvern High School basketball team. And Jody grew up there too. So I've kept in touch with Charlie here and there over the years. As people know, Charlie and I shared the Aloha Tower calendar from 1967. I believe it's in Charlie's possession right now. And Charlie had some health problems, had a couple of health problems, I thought, which kept him from doing games last year and kept him from doing games this year. I mean, I called him in May. I said, how are you? He said, my back's killing me. I just can't sit. I can't do the games. My back is killing me. I hadn't talked to him since. I sort of assumed that because the Dodgers were in the World Series, he'd do everything he could to do the games, but if his back was bad and he couldn't sit, he couldn't do it. Well, there was a story yesterday in the LA Times. I'm going to cry when I do this, so don't get upset. There was a story in the LA Times yesterday by our mutual friend Bill Plaschke that Charlie had cancer. He had terrible blood cancer, but it was in remission. And he was thrilled. In other words, he never told anybody. He told some people, I'm sure, but he didn't tell casual friends like me. So when I called him, he wouldn't say, I have this form of cancer that I think is killing me. Well, it's in remission. And the story is an incredibly optimistic story. It's really nice. And when it was sent to me, Bonnie sent it to me. Bonnie's pals with Charlie as well, from the old ESPN days, I'm sure. When it was sent to me, I read it, and I did what you're supposed to do. I called him. Again, I'm going to cry so we can edit this at some point. And I just simply said, I love you. He said, likewise. Mutual. And I said, I'll get in touch with you down the road, because this was not the time. This was the time to just say to a friend, I'm so happy for you. I didn't know any of this. I'm so happy it's working out. And that's all I said. I just said, I love you. And other people, I'm sure Charlie's phone has blown up in the last day or so. And it never would have been public if he didn't say to Bill Plaschke, I'm ready. That's how that works. He said, okay, I'm ready to tell this story because I'm good now. So, for those of you out there who have heard Charlie, when he started on EA, he was a disc jockey when he started, then he went to ESPN, did a lot of boxing and stuff like that, still is in the most famous ESPN commercial of all time. Where he says, get your whooping style, freedom, and the other one said, come get your whooping style. And then he did the Yankees. Yeah. He broadcast the Yankees, and then he broadcast the Dodgers. And he has told the story on the air, and I've told the story on the air. When he was 7 years old, he sat in front of his television set in Malvern, Long Island, with a fake microphone in his hand, much like the Hammers doing with the podcast, that broadcast Dodger games. Yeah. Because they were still in Brooklyn. He broadcast Dodger games. He actually does that now. He lives his dream. How many people can say this? He lives his dream. And I'm so glad to believe that he is healthy. And when we come back, we will have Jason Lockenfora. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
It's time to review the top 3 highlights of the day. I'm joined as always by my co-anchor Snoop.
And what up? Get the new iPhone. Expertise are valuable, with professionals spending nearly half the work week on written communication. Focus is one of the most important things for you to have at work. With Grammarly as your AI writing partner, you can stay focused and get through your work faster with relevant, real-time suggestions wherever you write. Just download Grammarly for free at Grammarly.com/podcast. Grammarly helps you speed through the drafting and editing process while staying on task. It will also help you to write and edit quickly with context-aware suggestions everywhere you write. Plus, Grammarly works across more than 500,000 apps and websites, and 93% of professionals report that Grammarly helps them get more work done. This comes easy to me, you know that. I wrote for a living. I talk for a living now. I can do this. It doesn't scare me. But if it scares you, if it makes you the slightest bit apprehensive, go to something that will help you. Don't call me. I'm not going to take your call. Get Grammarly. Get more done with Grammarly. Download Grammarly for free at Grammarly.com/podcast. That's Grammarly.com/podcast.
You're listening to The Tony Kornheiser Show. The Tony Kornheiser Show.
Ooh, yeah.
Crisis. It is run by Scott in Frederick, Maryland, who writes, here's my newest tune about the weekend, because nobody's ever written about that. Laugh out loud. Hope you like it and can use it on the show. It's called Living 2 out of 7, Midlife's Crisis. Michael, if people like Scott from Midlife's Crisis want to send in their original music, how do they do it?
Send us your music by emailing it to jingles@TonyKornizershow.com.
Jason Lockenfora joins us now, and regardless of what I wrote down last night, you got to start with the call, the non-call. Minnesota, Sam Darnold gets his helmet yanked, and it ends up as a safety and puts the game out of reach. I'm not saying Minnesota's going to win the game because they got to go down the field and they got to get a 2-point conversion. But what does the NFL do about a call like that?
I mean, we talked about this before, and it's a bad look, and it's a growing sort of tempest, and they have created these arcane rules and this arcane system where we're going to sort of quietly work to make some of these egregious things less egregious, and we're going to fix it from central command real quickly, and we're not going to have these guys looking like bumbling fools for 6 minutes watching, version after version of the same play. Like, we're going to do it for them. But we're really going to do it on certain things. Like, it's just, there's this arcane nature to we're willing to fix this, but not that, and we can change this, but not that. It's just kind of ridiculous, and I know that people would say, well, you can't have everything like available for Big Brother to fix, but I would say that seems more logical to me than this. Where we can fix that, but we can't fix this, and we can fix this under those circumstances, but we could never fix that. It just doesn't make sense, and especially when you get these one-window games, and you get something as obvious as this. I don't know. It does not make sense to me. I don't know how it can make sense to them. It seems like they may be reaching an all-or-nothing proposition here, and I don't think it's going to be nothing, because part of the all is helping and is making it better.
All right, Nebraska's made it 14-9. It looked like we were going to have a 4th and inches at about the 12-yard line or so. Then, of course, we had a penalty, backed it up to 3rd and 8, and got a sack. But we were 3 for 3 on field goals, which is news in and of itself. So, GBR, as it says on my airplane, go Big Red. 14-9 in the 3rd quarter, with number 4 Ohio State in Columbus.
Move more quickly, despite Big Brother getting involved in some instances, because Big Brother can do it quicker than the guys on the field at times. The technology continues to grow. It's kind of ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, it seems utterly ridiculous.
Like, what is the purpose of we're willing to fix 6 out of every 9? You know what I mean? Like, completely blown calls. I don't know.
No, I'm with you on that. I didn't say this before. We're joined by Odyssey NFL insider Jason Lockenfora, host of the podcast In the Huddle, covering the entire NFL. No, you can't. Everybody sees this. This is the one game that night. Everybody sees it. They see it in real time. The guy who did it put his hands up to his helmet knowing that he had done it. Again, they don't lose the game because of that necessarily. Well, they do because of that, the non-call. They don't win the game if the call is made. They don't. They got to go 90 yards, so I don't know.
And from the 17, and here we go.
Yeah.
90 seconds of interesting theater ahead of us.
That's right. All right, let me get to a bunch of other things. Your thoughts, by the way, now we've had 3 wide receivers move in the last 10 days. Your thoughts about DeAndre Hopkins going to Kansas City. Your thoughts about Devontae Adams changing the culture.
Yeah.
Been there 27 minutes and has decided to change the culture with the Jets. And your thoughts about Cooper Kupp. Is he going to be moved?
Yeah. We told you a few weeks back in the Washington Post that trades were coming earlier than normal, and they were going to feature wide receivers, and it was going to be way more than just Devontae Adams. So that trend is real, and we're not done yet. Do I think it'll include Cooper Kupp? Not unless somebody really were to knock their socks off. And with his injury history, and with him just coming back from another significant absence, and with there being, so many guys who've already been moved and others who certainly could be moved, I'd be a little surprised at this point. I mean, this Rams team kind of pulled this act last year, didn't they? Where they were beat up and they looked old and done through like 7-8 weeks, and then they came out of a bye, and they were one of the top 3 or 4 teams in football.
Yeah.
I mean, they were putting up 28, 30 on everybody. Matt Stafford and Jordan Love, had the most passing touchdowns in the NFL. From week 10 on, they came to Baltimore, who nobody could beat, and had them beat and lost in overtime on a return. Like, they went into the playoffs and won a game and could have done more. Like, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure about him, Tony.
Okay.
DeAndre Hopkins helps, but and I think they'll unlock some things with him there, and it's another big body who they can throw jump balls to and back shoulder fades to in the red zone, which they need because the red zone offense is broken. But I still think they could use a different body type too. What they were trying to get at with Hollywood Brown when they signed him, what they were trying to get at a year before that when they brought in Kadarius Toney on a large, it's that small, dervish kind of underneath guy who we can pitch it to, we can throw it to, we can line him up in the backfield and hand it off to him in pistol, the Jarrett McKinnon type, and I still think it's Christian Kirk. And I don't know if they've got another decent swing in them or not. I don't know why they wouldn't, with the defense being as good as it is. But, I do think Jacksonville's going to move more players. And I think Christian Kirk is a guy who I know teams have continued to call about. And I think, I think someone will meet their price. I love the Amari Cooper trade. I think it will pay big benefits for Buffalo. It already started to last week. And look, the running game is ahead of the passing game again in this league. Last year we had an all-time high in yards per carry, and we started to see some lag in the passing game. And this year, passing touchdowns are still down. We haven't seen as many big throwing days. Great, historically significant quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes are having their worst season.
Yeah.
So there is demand for wide receivers around, and there are a lot of losing teams who I think are going, to shed some salary. I mean, even guys who aren't household names, like Kevin Hyatt with the Giants. Like, there's some dudes people looking at saying we can get more out of them here than they're getting out of them there.
Devontae Adams goes to the Jets.
Oh, yeah.
After the first game that he plays where he has no touchdowns and they lose, he talks about changing the culture. I've come to hate certain words. I hate culture. I hate urgency. I hate accountability. These are nonsense words. They mean absolutely nothing. But if I was on that team, I would say, who's this guy? Who is this guy? So,
no, they're jacked up. But the whole franchise is off its axis. I mean, they seem to bring out the worst in each other. Like it's like everybody wants to one up the other one in terms of who can be the new face of soap opera at Florham Park. I'm sure that his intent, he means well, but it's just everyone gets when you get around.
I think we might try to land in Bordeaux.
And it's so bizarre.
We are just to the west of Nantes. I don't know how you say it, but Nantes.
In a manner that's so sort of ham-handed.
So we might try to land in Bordeaux.
It just continues the sort of the warped reality of what a winning football team is and what it takes to win in this league, and who's operating in a normal fashion and who's out to lunch. And
Nebraska just got an interception and returned it inside the 10. Holy crap.
Which the GM does. No one's going to say anything. No one, everybody's...
Could we make this interesting? Oh, there's a flag. Never mind.
It's not even really about football. I mean, you can say, well, he's still a really good player. And he is, but there's this whole pre-existing relationship with the quarterback, and the quarterback's not who he used to be. Why do you keep doing things to overpower a quarterback?
After the interception. All right, good deal.
Who's damn sure not as good as he thinks he still is. It should be about getting him to hand the ball off more the offense has looked. Maybe this is a, we told you so game, and they all get full of themselves. But I mean, I don't know. Then they've got the Texans, and then they've got like Seattle coming up, and that won't be easy. And Miami, maybe they have a modicum of an offense if Tua sticks around there for a while, and they're able to keep him playing football. So I just
got the ball at the 7-yard line. We need a touchdown
here.
here.
That's happened, and I mean, nothing that's happened in years has changed anything to the positive for that group and how they're constructed and who's in charge and, what they bring out in each other every Sunday and Monday and Thursday that they play football. But my God, please, let's have fewer Mondays and Thursdays and Sunday nights with the Jets. Jets fatigue is real. I mean, go win something. Shut the hell up and win something, and then get back to me, you fools.
I feel that same way about Dallas, particularly at ESPN, where just everybody just talks about Dallas. Dallas playing San Francisco this week. These were great dynasties. They were. Yeah. They were great dynasties. I don't really care about them now. You feel the same way?
2 runs, we got nowhere. We just cannot run on them.
That's so caught up in their own mythology and their own BS, but I don't think Kyle Shanahan has a ring. I think he's really good at losing Super Bowl games, but I'm not sure that's what, I'm not sure that's the end goal. There's a lot of drama in San Francisco. That thing has gotten toxic. They let a lot of those, they let the contract situations fester, and they let it get in their locker room, and they let it linger too long, and that's part of paying a price. And they're also a little long in the tooth, and they've got a lot of key guys, Trent Williams, McCaffrey, who have really, really long injury histories, and a guy like Deebo Samuel, who plays the game at such a breakneck pace, with such a sledgehammer style, who, he's big for his position, but he's not necessarily big for all the things he's done year to year to year, and so you always wonder about that catching up with you. And with all that going on, you're starting to find out that the quarterback is more of a guy than the guy. Yeah, he's not a generational talent physically. Can he process and do all those things? Sure. But I have a piece in the Washington Post this weekend breaking down the issues with Brock Purdy in that offense, and they are many, and they are pretty extreme. And I'm not sure even just getting a little healthier is going to fix it. So,
and they're saying no touchdown. Went for it on 4th and goal, didn't get it.
In this league who feel like Kyle Shanahan would rather try to win for a couple of years with Kirk Cousins starting next year than he would re-up for 6 or 7 years with this quarterback for $55 or $60 million a year, and do it that way. So it could be a fascinating.
That's interesting.
Off season there.
All right, plug your radio show for
the
us.
money he's going to demand off of what he did last year in his MVP season.
Right.
That might not be really who he is, because everything might never be that perfect again. You listen to me yap and yammer most about football this time of year. A little bit of basketball and still some baseball, but mostly football. 2 to 6 weekdays on Inside Access on 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore, or the Odyssey app. We will be at the Hollywood Casino in Perryville. If anybody is in the greater Aberdeen, southern Pennsylvania area today, we are on tour, so you can stop by and see us there. You can read me in the Washington Post. You can check me out on CBS Sportsline, handicapping games. I think there's some other stuff too, but that's enough for now.
Thank you, Jason. Jason Lockenfor, guys, is so wonderful. That was NFL Insider, Odyssey NFL Insider, Jason Lockenfor. Make sure to follow In the Huddle on the Odyssey app or subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Coming up, James Carville, we hope, and Jeff Ma, we're pretty convinced. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
You're listening to the Tony Kornheiser Show.
This is the Liquid IV read. There's so much to love about October. Make sure you're at your best with Liquid IV's new hydration multiplier plus immune support mango passion fruit.
Even in our house.
With 5 times the daily value of vitamin C and 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, you can give your body the immune support it needs while treating yourself to a taste of the tropics. You guys have this, right?
Oh, sure. I don't have the mango passion fruit, but now I think I need to get that.
I just got the golden cherry, though, which was a huge pickup thanks to the Liquid IV Robin Hood that is Tony Kornheiser. We were out of town, and I get a message, there is a package on your steps. So I picked it up.
I said I picked it up, right? Because I didn't want anybody in the fashionable neighborhood you live in to just porch drop and take all your stuff.
Yeah.
So I took it home. And it turned out it was actually addressed to me.
Oh, how about
That's
that?
for you. It's for you. It's the Liquid IV.
Well, yes, Mr. Porthauser.
Here's how it works. Tear, pour, live more. One stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. It's powered by LIV Hydroscience, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. Support everyday wellness with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code TonyK at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using the promo code TonyK at liquidiv.com. Use the code, people.
Decisions.
Wait a minute, are you still looking for cars on Carvana?
Yeah, decisions.
When I used Carvana, I found the exact car I was looking for in minutes. Bought it on the spot.
Electric or full diesel? Decisions.
Come on, you've been at it for weeks. Just buy it already.
You're right. Crossover it is. Decisions decided.
Whether you know exactly what you want or like to take your time, buy your car the convenient way with Carvana.
You're listening to the Tony Kornheiser Show.
Well, you wake up in the morning, boy. You hear the ding-dong ring. Then you look upon the table, boy. You see the same darn thing. You find no food upon the table, boy. There's no fork up in the pan. But you better not complain, boy. You get in trouble with the man.
Paul Evans, Midnight Special, the walk-up music for James Carville, and I'm going to read James this before we start talking. This is from Joe Urban, Fairfax City, Virginia. My partner and I worked the Middleburg Film Festival last week. One of our assignments was the James Carville documentary, Carville Winning Is Everything, Stupid. This was a sold-out showing. I looked for you in the audience but didn't see you. If you didn't make it, you missed a wonderful film. I recommend you see it when you can. After the showing, Luke Russert hosted a conversational interview with James. That was also a treat. At the end of our work assignments for the day, and my partner and I went to the Salamander Resort, the headquarters for the festival, for a glass of wine and some food. While we were talking to the hostess and waiting to be seated, I turned, and standing right next to me was James himself. Totally unprepared for this encounter, I said the only thing that came to mind, I asked James if he had any triple plays to recommend for the weekend. Unfortunately, he didn't. We chatted for a short time, but I thought he was ready to relax after a long day, so I quickly moved along. I remember you saying that you know James and his wife, so I'm sure I'm not telling you something you don't already know. The guy is authentic. He's the real deal. Watching the film and the interviews were great. Meeting him made my day. How do you feel about that? That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great, man. Thank my friend from North Virginia there, for sure.
That's very, very
Let me give you a warning. I'm just entering the Midtown Tunnel in Manhattan. I think cell reception is good, but if I lose you, that's because we're exquisite.
All right, so let's get to it as quickly as you can. What do you got?
Okay. What line you got? UNLV Boise State.
UNLV Boise State. Hold on. What conference is UNLV in? They in the
-3. That's what we're going to
Okay,
play.
sorry.
We're going to take Boise State. All right?
Boise State -3. We have that great running back, Genty. Go ahead.
Right. We're also going to go because Navy is the hot choice, 13.5. We're going to take Notre Dame.
You're going to take Notre Dame giving 13.5.
Right.
Okay.
This has got to be look at the BYU Central Florida line.
BYU Central Florida.
I see Central Florida giving 2.5.
Okay, I got it at 2. So Central Florida's lost its last 4 games. And BYU is number 11.
Yeah.
So, and Central Florida is the favorite. What does that tell you in the Carville-Couturier method?
To take BYU.
Central Florida.
Oh, take Central
Florida.
Really?
BYU is the obvious. Yes, it's the obvious choice.
Yes. Yes, it is obvious.
It is. All right, the team that's lost 4 of them. That's what you need. That's the Louisiana mythology is they're begging you to take BYU.
Okay, so you're taking Central Florida and giving 2.
By the way, how bad was that missed call in that game?
Terrible. Terrible. He yanked his head back. Come on. Terrible. Terrible.
It can't. That thing happened to the Saints. We had 2 freaking penalties on one play. Why don't the NFL have a rule to say if it's an obvious missed call, the Blues will rule it?
They should. They'll probably go to that by the middle of next year, by earlier. Well, you got any pro games for us?
Yeah, I do. Dolphins, Arizona. Take the Dolphins -3.5. Take +9. Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Sorry. No. The Browns +9. Baltimore. And the Bears, I hate to do this, but -2.5 because Jaden Daniels take the Bears.
You're gonna do the Bears. They are the favorite in the game, and Jaden Daniels didn't practice the last 2 days.
So that's why
All right, we're losing you. Enjoy the tunnel.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Jones C. Edwards Stadium.
Checking some highlights from Marshall, Western Michigan is the game I'm playing on my college football playlist. So just 1 second, no audio for a little bit. Nebraska just missed another wide open receiver apparently. And we have to punt. Shocking. Well, at least we're keeping it close so far.
All right, we'll enjoy the tunnel. I'm not even, that was the quickest James has ever gone. Now, wait a second. The Chicago game is what, -1.5? Maybe it's more now.
2.5, yeah.
-2.5, and he's taking Chicago. He's taking Cleveland? Cleveland? Over Baltimore with 9? He's taking Miami because his 2 are going to play? I guess 2 is going to play. But I don't know how long he's going to play. Wait. He's taking Cleveland? Wow. Okay, he was 1-5 last week. He's 17-29. He was the greatest picker last year that we had.
At least he's staying away from over-unders for this week.
Oh, yeah. If he wasn't in the tunnel, I would have told him how I don't believe in taking overs or unders. Because it's a 2. You got to make sure 2 teams, not just 1. Central Florida over BYU. He's going to lose that. Boise State over UNLV. UNLV, I thought, is a very good team. Notre Dame Navy. He's taking Navy. He's not taking Navy. I thought he would take Navy.
Yeah.
I did. He's not taking Navy. James was in the Marine Corps. Isn't the Marine Corps
It's
part of the Navy?
Yes, it is.
That's who I thought he would take Navy at that point. Cleveland? He's taking Cleveland?
Yeah, who's playing quarterback? Brian Sipe?
Wow. Is Jeff with us?
We have Jeff.
Oh, let me read this. This week's picks with James Carville and Jeff Ma brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Carville just took Cleveland +9 against Baltimore. Would you do that?
I mean, I'm not doing it, but again, the reality is we talked about this. Sometimes to win games, you got to take with the ugly side because you get again, it's a market. Nobody wants to take Cleveland, so you're getting probably extra points with Cleveland.
But Cleveland stinks. They're terrible.
This is not like a novel concept, right? You don't have inside information. Everyone thinks that too, right?
Right.
So again, the market is pricing that in, and that's the whole point of the point spread. You get a lot of value probably to take a terrible team, and they are a terrible team.
How many points would you need to take Carolina in a game? They're awful. They cannot score and they cannot defend, and they're owned by a loon who's ruined the team. How many points would it take for you to take Carolina?
I mean, in a vacuum, you need value. I mean, obviously, I'm not taking them this week, but again, this is the point of the NFL. There are these teams that are bad. Everyone everyone sees they are bad, and they get over. They're almost like undervalued because people think they're so bad, and that's the thing. You have to take these ugly teams sometimes, which I applaud James for his ability to like look at these games and take these terrible teams, but I'm definitely not taking Carolina this week either.
He took Central Florida -2 against BYU. BYU is ranked 10th in the country.
Yeah, 11th.
I don't even understand that line. It makes absolutely no sense. All right, anyway.
Well, the thing is, like, Central Florida was a team that was very well thought of going into this year. They've underperformed.
Yeah.
BYU has overperformed, but and again, like, you have to, like, say, is this team as bad as people think, or if this game were played in week 1, what would the line have been? And it would have been a lot higher. So, again, like, I understand James's logic there. There is a lot of, I may not be able to understand it, but I can think through what he's saying. Like, his logic is that if this game were played in week 1, this line would be much bigger. So I'm going to go after Central Florida this game.
That's funny. Okay, what do you got for us?
We got the Steelers -6. Very good. The Steelers are a good team that's kind of under the radar because of all these crazy quarterback things that are going on. Their defense is obviously elite. Last week, their performance against the Jets was very good, and kind of like them here, giving less than a touchdown.
They're playing the Giants.
Yeah, on Monday night.
The Giants are terrible. They're terrible. I'm surprised the line is only 6. I'm surprised at that. Giants can't score. 30th in the NFL in offense. Okay, what else you got?
I'm going to take the Commies plus the 3, obviously, and, like, we don't know who's quarterback.
No, we don't.
Sure,
We don't.
but plus 3 seems like a lot. Like it's Mariota maybe has come, into a situation where finally, we've talked about this, the quarterbacks a lot of it is about the situation they're in, and quarterbacks seem to thrive in different situations, and maybe this is, regardless of who quarterbacks in this situation, maybe it's the opportunity for Mariota to shine, and hopefully maybe Jaden Daniels plays, and then you're getting the plus 3, so there's some value here.
That line is all over the place. Chuck Todd had it at 1.5. Carville thought it was 2.5. You got it at 3. It's all over, and it's all determined by whether Jaden Daniels plays, right? That's all it's about.
Yeah, there's certainly going to be value there, but again, like, Mariota is a veteran.
Yeah,
He was
good.
Who seems to fit well in that system.
Okay, what else?
I'm going to take the Cardinals plus the 4. Obviously Tua's back, and I don't know if that's a good thing because it seems like maybe football should be not his thing, but it's a pretty big line move for the fact that Tua's back, and the Cardinals, they haven't been great on the road, but again, plus the 4 against Team Miami that's struggled this year. It's just hard to understand how much value Tua will be to come back, but I just like getting the 4 points there.
I have to say this, and I'm sure anybody responsible would say this, that everybody's going to hold their breath every time he's out there. Hold their breath, because nobody really thinks that this isn't going to happen again. Right, Jeff? Everybody thinks it's going to happen again. I read all the quotes from Tua. I sympathize with everything he's saying. I understand it, understand how an athlete's mentality, but we're all going to be terrified. We're all going to be terrified. What else you got?
I'm actually going to be with James, right? Did he take Notre Dame? I take Notre Dame minus, what was his line?
He said 13 and a half.
Notre Dame minus 5 or something.
He said 13 and a half.
Yeah, I'll take Notre Dame minus 13 and a half.
Over Navy.
Similar situation where Navy's overperformed this season. We talked about this on Bet the Process. Rufus had this line, I think, at Notre Dame minus 20.
Ooh.
So there is a lot of value here on a Notre Dame team that's very good against. Navy and Army are both undefeated. How great would that be if they came into that last game both undefeated? But probably not going to happen.
So here's what's interesting about that. I saw this on a college football show. The picks for the playoff are going to take place almost immediately after all of the conference championship games. Navy could well play Army in their conference championship game. But the Army-Navy game, the traditional game that we are familiar with, is scheduled a week after that. And so they could play each other twice, they could have different results, and one of them could be, as you know, part of the Gang of Five or whatever that's called, one of them could be in the playoffs. I would think that if one of those teams were undefeated, they would be in the playoffs, but then they could lose, Jeff, the next week playing each other. Bizarre, isn't it? That's bizarre.
Yeah, it's called the Group of Five, Tony, but yeah, that would be very weird. And I mean, I don't know, this whole playoff situation, they're going to have to figure it out. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out this year, because there are a lot of kind of random undefeated teams right now.
Like
and
Pittsburgh.
Interesting, but I don't think they will last. But it'd be nice, like I've talked about, if there were more of these Group of Five teams that were able to at least be in the playoffs. Otherwise, we're just seeing like basically an SEC playoff.
Yeah, Big Ten and SEC. What else you got?
I'm going to take Baylor -6.5. This is one we talked about the process. Just some value here to take Baylor -6.5.
Who are they playing?
They're playing Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State. Oh, Gundy. He's
I'm a man.
Yeah, he's a man. Yeah. What else you got? Or is that it? You got five? You got six? You got five. You had a tough week last week. 2-4.
Had a tough season.
Yeah.
This is one of those moments in time where you're like, and people on Twitter let me know about it, so it's good to, hopefully we'll turn this around.
Never go to Twitter. Never. Why are you doing that? Don't go to Twitter. No. Who's on Bet the Process this week?
We actually do a whole thing on election modeling, election markets and betting, because we have Dan Rosenheck on, who does the election modeling for The Economist, and we talk a little bit about who's going to win this election, where the value is for betting on the election.
I guess you can bet on anything with the election, right? I guess you can bet on
there's
state by state, county by county. Okay.
Whether someone sweeps all the 6 states that are in play, you can bet on the spread of the electoral college and the popular vote and all that kind of stuff. And it's becoming big business in terms of betting on the election, because there's opportunity and value, I think, in people's minds because of again, like any market that you're betting in where there's a lot of emotion that shapes the what people bet on, and certainly elections and politics fall into that category. There's a lot of emotion and a lot of opportunity to find value.
Is there at the moment an odds? Is there a favorite at the moment that people are betting, or is the betting far more narrow than just overall like that?
Well, it's been pretty interesting, because I think about 2 months ago, it looked like Trump was by far the favorite, or I forget how long since Biden's been out. And then when Kamala came in, she got a huge bump, and she actually became the favorite. And we talked about this on Bet the Process, where a lot of it was these sort of liberal undecideds that we're just waiting for someone to.
We got a 1st and 10 inside the 20, down 14-9 in the fourth quarter.
Had like kind of a heartbeat to actually be president. And then after the last couple weeks, both the betting markets, and there's been talk about like what's happening in the betting markets, if there's any kind of manipulation, because there is weird incentive. There's even thoughts that Russia is coming in and actually trying to manipulate this to make it look like Trump is the favorite.
I've read that.
And now Trump is the favorite by a slim margin, but I think most places would tell you that Trump is a small favorite, but it's still pretty much a toss-up.
Well, that's it. Thank you, Jeff. We'll talk to you next week. Good luck with these.
Thanks, Tony.
Jeff Ma, boys and girls. This week's Picks with James Carville and Jeff Ma have been brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. We have jingle and email when we return. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
This is the Tony Kornheiser Show. Tony Kornheiser Show.
There's a Game Time read. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that make getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You do this.
Yeah, do you think Jared is using this for Game 3 of the NLCS?
Garrett's got tickets in New York. I guess it's called
Filter.
City Field now.
Yeah, City Field.
Game 3, Game 4. Jared
Filter, row 1.
Yeah, Jared got on a plane last night. He's very excited. He's going to watch them both. Yeah.
Sure.
Game Time Picks curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Game Time's all-in pricing shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. And Game Time has my favorite feature, Seat Views. This lets you get panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code TONY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code TONY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. It's a good line.
It is.
It's a good line. Use the code.
Touchdown, Nebraska.
Tony
I gotta text some people. 1 second. Oh, we might be down at the 1.
Pat Baz. Love that.
That's a great one.
Just
Like
like
Hank
that.
Williams.
Yeah. So you normally do the Bethesda Bagel ad here, but I understand that you got an email that was fascinating.
Yes, and I will thank Bethesda Bagels in a second, but I also want to say thank you to Chris Bancells. He met my mom the other day at some conference, and they had a lovely conversation. They're always happy.
Does she identify as Nigel's mom?
Yes, and on occasion she wears a T-shirt that says, "I'm Nigel's mom."
Fantastic. I do the Bethesda Bagel.
Bethesda Bagels, we love them. You will as well. Just go to BethesdaBagels.com for the location in the DC area nearest you. Then pop on in, and you will be thrilled.
That'll do it for us today. Before we get to the mailbag, let me just say, is she really going out with him? There she is. Let's ask her. Betty, is that Jimmy's ring you're wearing? She must be great riding with you. Is he picking you up after school today? By the way, where'd you meet him? I'm at a candy store. Turned around and looked at me. Picture, yes, we see. And that's what I fell for. The leader of the pack, the Shangri-Las, as produced by Shadow Morton.
Yes.
Thanks to our guests today, Jason Lockenford, James Carville, Jeff Ma. Thanks as well to today's
Now we got the
sponsors.
touchdown.
Remember, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts.
15 to
Spotify,
14.
Get the show through Apple Podcasts. Please leave us a review. If you have never heard Leader of the Pack, you need to find it. You need to play it. I'm not going to say
Today.
it's great. I'm going to say it is unbelievably striking and elicits in people very, very passionate responses, including this is the worst stuff I've ever heard, and I love this. I can't get enough of it. All right, from Alexandra Allred.
Going for 2 to go up by 3.
Yesterday I caught myself smiling as she writes it to me at home, but writes it here.
Up by
Yesterday,
3,
I caught
baby.
myself smiling as I listened
17
to
to
you rate
14.
the officiating of the New York Liberty versus Minnesota Lynx WNBA Finals. While you were not wrong, it almost didn't matter. Two highly respected, legendary sports commentators were speaking so passionately about this. Man, I watched you both a second time just to take it all in. My name is Alexander Allred, and I'm an adjunct professor of kinesiology, teaching, among other things, women's sports history. I wrote the book When Women Stood, The Untold History of Female Athletes Who Changed Sports in the World. Oh, how different the world would be if we'd had you both in the 1970s or 80s. You did! We were working! Come on! I just wanted to to send a heartfelt thank you for seeing and believing in the value of female sports, and I also hope to convince you to give a 2-second shout-out to the kinesiology students of women's sports, or my Tarleton State University students. At the end of each semester, I ask students to share the greatest surprises of women's sports history. It is always both encouraging and deflating. We've come a long way, have a long way to go. It is all the more reason I was moved to write to thank you both, two sports icons, for spotlighting the athleticism and excitement, but also the same drama as we see in men's sports. Love it. Thank you so much. So here is my philosophy.
Here's Will Compton's comments on the game.
If you want to be taken seriously,
Touchdown, Nebraska! I don't care if he was in and his knee was down. Put it on the one. We'll score again. The boys are fighting in Columbus, Ohio.
It's fired up.
as an athlete, and you want your leagues to be taken seriously, then you have to get the criticism. You know, it's not all, isn't it nice that they're out there trying? No, there's criticism. You know, so that when Sabrina Ionescu goes 1 for 19, that's awful beyond words, and you have to say that's awful. You can't say, oh, let's excuse it because she had a good game the other night. That doesn't work that way. No. When the officiating stinks, you say it. When a coach shoots his or her mouth off inappropriately, you say it. And when the game is great, you say it. You treat people. This is what I want to say. You treat them like professional athletes. That's all anyone can ask for, and that's what Mike and I do.
Yes.
From Peter Bodine or Bodine, I'm not sure. I typically do not write celebrities, but I make an exception in this case. Really? I'm a recent listener to your podcast and a longtime fan of PTI, which our adult sons call the Old Guys Sports Show. My brother-in-law lives in the D.C. area, recommended your podcast, and was a listener of your radio show. On a recent trip to the nation's capital, we visited your favorite cheese and wine shop, Calvert. I enjoy listening to your show with my afternoon coffee while enjoying a cigar on the back porch, as I'm not allowed to smoke in the house. I'm a fan of your regular guests, Chuck Todd and James Carville. Loved your conversation about Pete Rose with Al Michaels. I agree he should have a bust in Cooperstown. As an aside, some of my ancestors served under General Washington, and I admire Reginald, as my favorite stuffed animal as a kid, which I still have, was also a monkey. A little bit about me. I'm about Michael Wilbon's age and retired after a long career in the pharmaceutical industry. Growing up in central New York, my friends and I played baseball in the street during summers and tackle football the rest of the year. After watching what is now known as the Ice Bowl on TV, that's Jerry Kramer.
Yeah, that's the Dallas
Yeah. We played football in 3 feet of snow in one of our backyards. We could barely run, but didn't get hurt when tackled. We were fans of the NFL before the merger, and each had a different favorite team, including Cowboys, Packers, Giants, Baltimore Colts, St. Louis Cardinals. Don't ask me why, but my favorite team back then was the LA Rams when Roman Gabriel was a quarterback, and Deacon Jones, Merlin Olsen, Rosie Greer, and Lamar Lundy were the fearsome foursome. When I was in 6th grade, our social studies teacher let us watch the 1969 World Series during class. Needless to say, I appreciate the historic respect for sports and the great players of my youth, which are often all but forgotten in broadcasting today. It's wonderful to listen and see shows where hosts have the same knowledge and appreciation. For the past 40 years, we've lived along the I-95 corridor and have been Philly sports fans, though I still have a fondness for the Rams helmets. It's nice. It's just nice, isn't it?
Yes.
Jay MacArthur, Madison, Mississippi, quoting me, I had a few good shots, and he writes, quit bragging. Sorry, 15 years younger, 20 shots worse. Steve Shepard, Southeast DC. I just wrote to say how much I enjoyed the Wednesday show about playing 15 holes, in which you actually played 16 holes. Great stuff. Also, one other Mets-related oldies note. Not only did Francisco Lindor change his walk-up music to My Girl, but Pete Alonso also picked a classic for his song late in the season. It's a major hit by one of your closest friends, American Pie by Don McLean. Thought you'd like to know such a nice guy was.
And Ohio State immediately gets a big play.
Alex Ferguson, La Crosse, Wisconsin. The closure of Bliss Road between Bluffside Tavern and the Alpine Inn has been postponed to October 28th to November 1st. To get to Grandad Bluff, take Highway 33 to County Road F instead, unless the schedule changes again, 11 and a quarter hours or 8 Wilbons to Pittsburgh, the heart of the Midwest.
It's a measure of time. Yeah, time is speed.
From Brian Huff in Norwalk, Iowa. I wanted to provide you with an update to the ongoing road construction of Fleur Drive in Des Moines. Phase 3 is nearly complete, bringing an end to the 6-year project to upgrade the surface of one 4-lane road. The major artery from the airport to downtown Des Moines has been under construction for so long that the local t-shirt shop has created shirts that read, Be like Fluor Drive. Never stop working on yourself, no matter how inconvenient it is for everyone else. And he's enclosed a photo of that. It's fantastic.
That really is brilliant.
This has been a major inconvenience for my daily commute to work from my residence in Norwalk. Normally a drive down Fluor Drive was the quickest route, but I had to shift to Highway 28 6 years ago. Then a 2-year-long bridge replacement on Highway 28 caused me to use the cutover on George Flagg Parkway. Backups on the shortcut have been mounting, so I shifted to use Southwest 9th, but only during the summer months, as school traffic is another issue. Anyway, the end's in sight. Hope this helps if you make the trek to Des Moines this winter. Rest assured, construction will be minimal, but watch out for potholes. From Robbie Hayes, who's the principal and creative director at Pixelumen Lab in Alexandria, Virginia. It's not clear, it's white cranberry. It's right next to the other varieties of cranberry juices at the Safeway or Giant. I go through about 4 bottles a week, and that's why I don't have to get up to pee in the middle of the night anymore. Thanks to Dr. Riaz for the pro tip. And at Thanksgiving, we have Mayflower martinis, which is white cranberry and gin with fresh cranberries. Yum. So you were half right.
I was half right.
He's episode 234, by the way.
Just brag.
John Hupp, who's a doctor in Annapolis. I'm a real doctor and used to do colonoscopies. There is a prep solution called Go Lightly, which should be called Go Often, that requires the patient to drink a gallon of a non-tasty fluid. I once had a patient who could not drink the stuff without adding a double shot of vodka to every glass. I'm sure his colon was clean, but we had to admit him for detox, and his colonoscopy was rescheduled. It is great that you are encouraging people to go through this very important and only modestly uncomfortable procedure.
Ohio State just converted to 4th and 1, so they're within field goal range to tie it, but more than likely they'll get a touchdown. We'll see.
White cranberry.
Yes.
Tim Craig. Chuck and Roxy number 107. I barely made the top 100. I donated plasma today and only took me 35 minutes. As soon as I left, I got an email from Wilbon bragging about how he did it in only 20. Some people, all right? Sam Fritz, Schaumburg, Illinois. As the looming specter of Hallmark movies and their army of gazebos approaches, it's worth noting that Netflix is putting up a fight in the ridiculous department. I saw a trailer for something called Hot Frosting, which centers around a widow who discovers love again thanks to a magical snowman come to life who apparently likes to be without clothing for several scenes. Hallmark, eat your heart. From Jesse Ford in Havertown, Pennsylvania, I'm not sure. Do you think we can stop factoring in cross-country flights or NFL odds if Wilbon flies the planes? I'm sure he can make a 4-hour flight in less than 90 minutes. He can probably negate the time zone.
Get a team in London.
Rich Kochiara. In Sunnyside, in Queens. I resisted writing when I first heard your great interview with Christian Thompson, but after your recent joy at seeing Otis and the current Temptations perform at Citi Field, I just had to. Performing with the Temps as the bass was Juwan Jackson. Prior to this gig, he'd been seen in the Broadway musical.
Yeah, Ohio State at the 6 now. We woke them up, I think.
Apparently, after the show closed, Otis invited him to join the group, singing the part he had brought to the stage. I know this because I'm a Broadway stagehand to work part-time on that.
How about that?
On that production, which means Megan probably knows him. Right? Chris from Durham, North Carolina. Wizards only half a game out from first place. Not too bad. Yeah, because they're 0-1.
How many threes did the Celtics put up?
Put up a bunch.
Yeah, it was a few.
A haiku from Chad, the world's worst neighbor. Why is he always screaming representative? All right, I play a yellow ball, but I've never been to Pinehurst. PG and I are leaving for the PGA Saturday. We'll be there through March.
Touchdown Ohio
State.
State.
Much bigger house this year with plenty of room for you and Michael. If Nigel comes, we might pull a couch out for him. Regards, DG. So just
see you in the Publix.
Tina writes us. Yesterday I was Dina in Dubrovnik. That's it. I'll be back near Denora by Sunday.
Dubrovnik?
She went overseas. She went on a vacation. Rafi Zach in Hollis, New Hampshire, but formerly in Great Neck, New York. I would like to continue the conversation about the Puritan Backrooms ice cream. As someone who works in Manchester, New Hampshire, I messaged them to see if they deliver. Sadly, they do not, so I will have to keep a mental note to bring a pint next time I'm traveling to D.C., which is rare. As a fun fact, the Puritan is known for inventing the chicken tender. Back in 1974, they recently celebrated this fact by having the local minor league baseball team, the Fisher Cats, wear chicken tender jerseys.
Did not know that.
Sad if they don't chip.
Yeah, we're going to have to enlist some help for that. What's your dipping sauce of choice for some tenders?
I'm not a big tender guy, but it's usually that sort of mustard-based sauce. I sort
Like
of
a honey mustard?
I don't like the honey part, but the mustard part I sort of like.
Are you a barbecue guy?
I like to mix.
The mix? Oh, yeah, that's the way to blend. Yeah.
Wally Coconuts writes us. Last week when you played the music of Jeffrey Pepper Rogers on your show, I said, hey, I know that guy. Well, sort of. Not only is JPR a musician of some renown, he's also the founding editor of Acoustic Guitar magazine, of which I've been a subscriber since it first came off the presses. JPR is also a noted author of articles and books on guitars, guitarists, and songwriting, as well as an instructor on those subjects. An update from his online bio. In 2024, he was inducted into the SAMI, Syracuse Area Music Award Hall of Fame as a music educator. That's great.
That is fantastic.
Carrie Costin in Port St. Lucie, Florida, about 2 miles from the Met springing facility. The Kelseys are getting 100 large and no colonoscopy report. Clearly they're overpaid or you're underpaid. Yeah, they are. And Michael Benedetti from Santan Valley in Arizona. I recently moved to Arizona, started a new job with a beverage distributor. As I was getting assigned my new accounts, a colleague of mine said that one's in Scottsdale. As more accounts came, mine went from that was in South Scottsdale to that one's in West Scottsdale to that one's in East Scottsdale, and finally you guessed it, that one is in North Scottsdale. They talk about this place like it's the 5 boroughs from gangs in New York. Still no sign of Wilbon, but it's only a 2.5-hour drive from the PTI studios, so I expect to see it any day now. Family and my type, everyone, as always, do wear white.
Now, if there's anything I can do,
I certainly hope it does.
but I certainly hope you die soon.
All right. So we're getting close to Bordeaux. That'll be where we land. So I'm just going to provide my sparkling commentary for the last few minutes of this flight. So Nebraska took a 17-14 lead, got the touchdown, 2-point conversion to go up 17-14. And then Ohio State just drives right down the field, scores a touchdown. That is completely expected. What is not expected was how close we've kept this game. So as a Nebraska fan, I have to at least be happy about that. But yeah, I didn't really expect we'd finish it out. And it looks like we're not going to, though there's still some time left, so who knows. Should try to be optimistic. Just 20 years of being a Nebraska football fan beats you down pretty badly. We had a good 1990s, and we had some moments in around 2010. We had a good defense anyway, but since then it's been pretty rough. Had some okay years with Taylor Martinez and Amir Abdullah and all that, but it's been a rough 7 years for sure. But now we are still flying over France. It looks as though... So we're coming up to the Gironde Estuary. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but that leads right to Bordeaux. We are, let's see what's close. What is that town? Yves? I assume is how you pronounce that, like Yves Saint Laurent. Yves is right there, and then over there is Les Beaucholeurs. Again, absolutely 100% sure I'm pronouncing all these correctly. We'll keep heading south. We're at 35% fuel. Should be plenty to get to Bordeaux, which will be, you can see on the map, on the VFR map, you can see the estuary I was talking about. Bordeaux will be at the bottom of that. So we're making progress to our landing spot for this flight. Made some good progress and been able to watch Nebraska play better than I thought they would, at least. After getting absolutely demolished by Indiana last week, we are at least keeping it competitive into the fourth quarter. Now we could still end up losing by 3 touchdowns here, but it's 21-17, and we had a fourth quarter lead on number 4 Ohio State, so you got to take progress where you can get it as a Nebraska fan. Coming back from commercial. Now, my question, I see the Ohio State students with their shoe off for the kickoff. I didn't think anybody but Nebraska did that, and I'm not sure if Nebraska started it and other teams are copying it, or if other teams have always been doing it. But this is definitely the first time I've noticed another team doing the shoe off thing for kickoffs. I thought it was just Nebraska. Here's the kickoff from Ohio State, up 21-17 with 6:04 left in the fourth quarter. It's a touchback, so we will take the ball at the 25-yard line. See what our offense can do. Our offense has been not great past the first couple games. They've been a little bit better in the second half. Generally speaking, throughout the year, we've moved the ball between the 20s or 30s. I should probably say. We just have a tough time getting touchdowns, and we haven't put up more than 28 points on a Power 5 team yet this year. In this game, we will not do it either. But again, we're competitive against Ohio State in the fourth quarter. Can't complain. Handoff for about 2 or 3 yards on first down. So it'll be 2nd and 8 probably. There's Vergeroux and Rochefort. All right, 2nd and 7. They give us 3 yards. Another handoff. Oh, absolutely ate up. Lost 2 yards, it looks like. So 3rd and 9 coming up. This is what I was afraid of. 5 minutes, 20 seconds to go in the game. 3rd and long. It's not great, Bob. Do have an airport coming up. Saint Agnant, something like that. All right, they're saying 3rd and 7. I thought we lost a couple yards, but apparently not. And we are throwing and got the ball off. And I think that was uncatchable. There could have been interference called, but oh, Raiola got landed on his shoulder. He's hurting. And we're going to have to punt, and Ohio State will probably score a touchdown, and we'll end up losing by 3 touchdowns or something. But yeah, it was early contact, but it might have been uncatchable. Oh, it wasn't much of a hit on Raiola. Just got a stinger, maybe. But now we are punting on 4th and 7, 4:44 left in the game. This is about the best a Nebraska fan can hope for when we play a ranked team, because we're like 0 for our last 20 against ranked teams. It's ridiculous. So the best we can hope for is it's a highly ranked team and we keep it close. And so far we've done that. Of course, there's a flag on us. False start. We can't even punt the ball without a flag. I might have to. I've got my college football computer versus computer games going on the other TV. Marshall taking on, who is it? I forget. Western Michigan, that's right. Oh boy, low snap, but we get the punt off. It's going to bounce at about the 47, roll out of bounds at about the 37. But I may need to get off the microphone here and end my college football PlayStation game that I've got going on. We still probably have another 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so before we get to Bordeaux. What other podcast could I play, since I don't really have a whole lot to talk about, and the game is not going to be that interesting. Let's see what we got. We could listen to... I could just go with the last segment. You know what? I will go with... Let's save that in case I want to do another flight. Let's do a Bussin' with the Boys episode. This will be from 2 days ago, so I guess on Thursday. We'll fire that up for the last few minutes of this flight.
bad news. Some things that broke my heart. But before we do that, let's talk about Fireball. The locker room is presented by Fireball. Fireball is the perfect shot for game day, whether you're biting those sneaky little shooters before going to the stadium or going big with a Fireball cake or tailgate, whether it's pregame shot in the tailgate lot or a celebratory touchdown shot at the bar. No matter what, it's guaranteed to ignite your game day. Now, bad news. There's only a little more than a week left of Spooktober. Every Wednesday, I do the show, I enjoy every single piece of it, I love it. But I know I get to look forward to a disgusting B-rated film that you get to show me, Delaney, and you told me that you go do some bull. You go to the airport? Something that doesn't fucking matter. You actually didn't put the context on it, but...
You're the sad news.
You're the sad news.
I mean, yeah,
Explain yourself.
Man, kids come before scary movies.
You're going to say kids come first, and then you
so I gotta make
can't
that
push the
move.
flight a couple hours.
I gotta
go to Portland.
I gotta go to Portland. Gotta get out there. Gotta
Duty calls, man.
duty calls, man. Can't be a bad father.
Your girl dad.
Girl dad, straight up.
Yeah, that's
2
fair.
girls. Oh, you gonna be used to that.
I know.
You
3 weeks
already-
away.
Yeah, you
I'm
used
already
to
in
it.
it.
3 weeks
Go.
away.
Can I be
Yeah.
honest with you though? I don't know if I want a boy anymore.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Why?
Every time I'm around a child that is of the male species, and they're under 8 years old, they're psychos. And it's nothing against the parents. I think all the parents I hang out with, I would say, are relatively good parents. They're good. They check
Yeah,
their
everybody
phones.
tries.
Everybody tries. All of them are psychos. All of them can't swim yet. All of them go to the deep end of the pool. Like, they are crazy animals. And I look at my daughters, yeah, they piss me off sometimes. I love them to death, but they do some things I'm like, bro, what are we doing? But it's never to the extent of which I see some of these little boys and how they're acting.
Girls are so sweet.
Girls
So
are
sweet and so
smarter than
kind.
boys. Let's
Like,
just be honest.
yes.
Not even close.
Like, how do we live for this long? It's
Right.
crazy
It's
to watch
crazy.
some of these children walk around, not look, fall in the corners of things. They always find the sharpest thing in the room and happen to fall on it. Like,
Definitely.
it's
And
insanity.
it seems like they talk so much, too.
They do. Anything they hear,
But
they
it's-
gonna
yeah.
repeat that thing.
I remember...
See, my daughters, bro, I had one situation. I was like kind of just scrolling through Instagram as every individual does. And my daughter's like kind of watching, and I like swipe up on one of the reels, and someone goes, "This mother," and I just whoop the next one, and it's like quiet for a second, and one goes, "What does mother mean?" Like, straight up. And I was like, "Oh, honey, I think you misunderstood." He said mother trucker. She's like, "What does mother trucker mean?" So it's a mommy truck. All right, let's move on.
It's a mommy truck.
But bro, just to hear, first off, my kids have not cursed. That's the only time she said the curse without knowing she was cursing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of things funnier than hearing a child
Yeah.
drop like
It's the
a
funniest.
hard F-ball.
It's
And
the
Lynn
funniest.
dropped it to my face.
You will hit damn every now and then.
Really? She really?
Right, 'cause
You big damn guy. You big damn guy.
Damn it! And then she'll be in the car seat and you'll hear, damn it! She's like, Will, and I'm like, this is hilarious. This is exactly what I want.
It's like, yeah, you don't want that. You don't want it. But it is fucking funny. It is.
And they say it like
absolutely.
perfectly too. It's
I
like
know.
at the right moment. It's like
Yeah.
they said, something happened. She like, damn, because you hit a bump.
When they get to middle school,
Turn around, you ride by. Oh, sweetheart, don't say anything.
when they get to middle school, they're going to be sitting there, and once they learn what curse words were, did you go through the phase where like every other word was fucking this or fucking that?
Not when
Yeah.
I was in school or around people, but around my friends or something like I cuss
Middle
them
school
up.
was the phase.
Yeah.
Where you just think every sentence ends with fuck.
Yeah, recess, cussing you out.
And sometimes your friends start to judge you. Like, hey, you're gonna be.
No,
this
in
guy-
middle school, you think they
Some
judge
friends. Some friends. were
You had some
judging
good
me, I felt
friends.
like.
You had some good friends because I feel like we were all on the same
We
page.
was all set.
Yeah, we were all on the same page. There's a couple words said out there I regret, but you just kind of let
What
it
I
you just
regret,
let it
like
roll.
we're talking about these boys being savages. Like I remember my dad owned a gym, and for whatever reason, I think I hit somebody in the nuts one time, and it got a laugh. And so I just ran around the gym and started
Sack tapping everybody.
tapping dudes in the
Oh,
nuts.
you was that kid.
And I think back on it
shit.
now, and I'm like, what a little shit I was.
Or
Like,
no.
that's not funny.
Yeah, I
That's
hated
not
those.
It's not funny.
I hated
And I thought I was
those
funny.
kids.
And you know those grown men were just looking at my dad like, yo, get your fucking
Get your
psycho
son.
It's exactly having boys, which brings us all the way back around to the beginning of the show.
And you had the regular, your original teeth too. You probably were crazy as fuck.
Well, I didn't I had to grow into those teeth. Those were the teeth I had throughout my entire adult life because they were that small.
Yeah.
I should have chipping.
You never got your grown-up teeth?
I didn't.
You just always had the little
I still have my wisdom teeth in.
little chicklets.
Never had
I mean, I still got baby teeth too, so I was in that same boat.
When did you get fake teeth?
Never got fake teeth.
Bro, your teeth are...
He's thinking about it though.
These are my teeth.
You're thinking about it though. You mentioned it.
I said it.
Yeah,
Teeth
that's
come
right.
apart.
Yeah, okay, they're real.
Yeah, that's my real teeth.
Got white teeth, man.
Yeah, white. I mean, black gums.
You say that contrast is crazy.
He's makes it look
Yeah, hey, good for you having that white of teeth. Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Congratulations on having
But also,
white teeth already.
DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs.
Yo, man.
As we're sitting here speaking, that just happened this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. What are our thoughts?
We were kind of talking about it on bus, and it's like when G was asking, like, what do you do? And we were kind of like, here's some different scenarios that you could look at. Like, a guy like DeAndre, he still has some juice left. He's obviously older, but he can still produce probably for a team like the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But when you're in a situation like Tennessee, it's almost like you got to go around the locker room and see, like, what guys aren't going to ultimately make like this locker room and this team better. Like I don't think he's like a liability in the locker room.
Definitely not.
But it seems like he's like checking out of games. You can kind of tell with his presser after the game, like he was kind of nonchalant about everything. So I feel like the Titans kind of just made a move, like just start planning for the future. There's a few names floating around on the trade.
No, it's a few. I mean, but that picture is clear.
I've heard Jeff. I've heard Harold.
See, I don't think you want to make that move with Jeff and Harold because the issue right now, unfortunately, is the quarterback play, but because you have good talent all around you. DeAndre Hopkins, I completely understand because, not saying the liability part, but just strictly thinking about the player, like he's only got so many snaps left of like the opportunity to possibly win a ring. So maybe as a Titans, you're like, we know we're not contenders this year. We know we're not going to be that team this year. Maybe we just, kind of do this guy solid. Now it could be the absolute other way around where he's a liability. He's I
don't think he is. I just don't
his
think
energy suck in the locker room.
Right, like his care for pouring all into the team probably just isn't there, or what it was.
Yeah, he goes from 1-5 to now he's got a 6-0 football team.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
new juice, new excitement. He's got.
All right, got the ball with 3:36 to go. 21-17 Ohio State. We got one timeout left.
He'll get the
See
ball.
what happens.
And it's a spot too to where it's like you worry about. You want DeAndre so badly to be like a leader on the team to where he goes to somewhere like the Chiefs and you don't have to worry about it. It's like, how can we just get him the football? Because you got your leadership, you got your like goated quarterback. Whoever the pulse of that team is going to run.
You don't have to be a leader.
He's just going to fit in and probably play well with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. We'll be looking at it like in week 16, 17 and being like, look at Dion. Look what he's doing.
But if you,
why don't we have that? And it's like, well,
there's a lot that goes into
the Chiefs are in that kind of like Patriots era right now, where you can just take players and just put them in.
Yeah, like older players.
They're surrounded by good leadership, surrounded by talent, surrounded by great coaches. Like it's like you can't really fail.
But if you the Titans, you gotta look at it. Buffalo game, he pretty much takes himself out the game, doesn't play. At the end, like you said, presser, he was nonchalant, like it was some star aggravating me. I didn't want to re-injure it. We don't know. He never said what he hurt.
Probably knowing too that he's on the trading block.
But you gotta think about it. Our media here in Tennessee always expect the best player gonna get traded. So they went at him with no knowledge of him being traded, saying, "Oh, we heard you getting traded," and he answered it correctly, like, "Well, I didn't hear that. I'm gonna go and do my job like I've been doing, play hard every week." And then that week came, and I think he only played 10 snaps.
He didn't play a whole lot.
Yeah. Hopefully that's the end of trading though, because you've got talent. I hope it is, dude. Because you've got talent in that Titans locker room. You get rid of a guy like Jeff or a guy like Harold, or get one of your running backs or something like that. It's like now you get a quarterback next year, whether it's free agency or in the draft. You have less talent on that football team now.
Yeah, but also, like, to play devil's advocate, if you feel like the culture of the players is kind of like dispersed, or not like toxic, but the buy-in just might not be there culture-wise, like you need to start getting guys like new blood to where you can build the culture if they're betting on the coaching staff in the long run.
Yeah.
I know there's not that safety blanket either, like that Derek, where you can just be like, hey, we're just gonna run it the whole time.
That's what they lost. They lost that blanket.
Yeah.
But you've been in worse times. You've been in those dark days with the Titans. You know how it is. We had guys like yourself, me, Jarrell Casey, Derek Morgan, leaders to lean on. When we was in the rough day, they wasn't gonna trade guys like us because they knew we were leaders. If you trading guys away that are guys that are performing, obviously they don't see those dudes as leaders. That's how I look at it. We don't know what the dynamic is in that locker room because we're not in there. But when we was in there, we fought. We made guys accountable. They not doing that right now in that locker room, and it shows.
Yeah, you gotta have those very uncomfortable player-led meetings.
Yes.
Where they don't really think about what they're gonna say, but they know they gotta say something.
They gotta say something.
Guys, we gotta be better.
You know it.
All right, keep going. What else you got for us? That's it. That's it. We gotta be better.
Those are so hit and miss. They are hit
So
and miss.
uncomfortable. Like you need somebody that's really well spoken to get up there and say something. But we had 1 year.
All right, so we just had an incomplete pass, almost a fumble. They could have been a fumble, but they called it incomplete pass. But now there might be targeting on the Ohio State player, which would be huge for us because we got an offensive pass interference on first down. So it was like 1st and 22. Thought we had that catch, but then he got rocked and dropped it. Might be targeting, which would give us a first down. We're getting close to Bordeaux, where we're going to land today. They're reviewing targeting right now. 3:14 left to go. Ohio State still up 21-17. Nebraska's luck, they will probably pick up the flag, and it'll be 2nd and 22. He got rocked, though. Going down that estuary we referenced earlier to get down to Bordeaux. So I think the announcers are now saying they're looking at seeing if there's a fumble, which would be just lovely. Oh, here's the call. Oh, there is targeting. So that's actually good for Nebraska. Ohio State coach is not happy. So it should be first down for Nebraska. So it should be 15 yards from the catch then, I think. So it would put us about at midfield. Ryan Day chucking his headset. He's got a guy trying to prevent him from getting another flag. We're speaking from experience as Matt Rule's gotten 2 personal foul, unsportsmanlike conduct flags, 1 in the last 2 weeks. They're about to start play again here soon, I think. I think they're discussing whether or not Ryan Day should have gotten an unsportsmanlike penalty as he spiked his headset when he heard the call. I guess he got a warning. Yeah, we're at about the 45-yard line now. 46, it looks like. Nebraska's 46. So, I mean, we kicked a 54-yarder earlier, but we are down 4, so that doesn't help a whole lot. We need a touchdown. There's not enough time to get 2 possessions. There's only 3:14 left. See a flight way up there. It's my left, way up in the sky. The problem with Nebraska is we never have guys that make clutch plays in situations like this. Every now and then we'll make it close against a ranked team, but we never have anybody that makes a big play at the end of the game that wins it for us. And I'm not sure we have that player on this year's team either. Oh God, there's another flag. I'm sure it's on us. False start, I'm assuming. Yep, false start. Just getting that play off, we killed 16 seconds, so there's 2:58 left in the game. Now it's 1st and 15 at the 42-yard line. And at 24% gas, this is we'll be about empty when we get, when we land in Bordeaux. So I know a couple of the times I've flown, once the fuel gets under 20%, it can be 0. Oh God, we just did a screen and lost yards. I'm so tired of throwing it like in the flats or behind the line of scrimmage. Our whole passing game is it's usually behind the line of scrimmage. If we are past the line of scrimmage, it's 5 yards at most down the field. We always get blown up immediately, but we keep trying it. We have no downfield passing whatsoever. This line just wandering around. No clue who to block. 2nd and 18. 2:12 to go. Well, we're going to have to take the moral victory if we kept it close against Ohio State. Our offense is just so rough. We're going to get a delay game here. Hike the ball. Jesus. We called a timeout, I think. 2-minute warning. Oh, God. It'd be nice to win one of these someday, but I don't think that day's today. It doesn't look like. At least we kept it close. I should be happy with that, because after last week, holy shit, we looked horrible. Indiana just absolutely emasculated us, 56-7. I thought it was going to be the same or worse against Ohio State, and for it to be 21-17, 2 minutes to go in the game, we just have to be thankful for that as Nebraska fans. We got a few years left before we can be disappointed by losses like this, because we're just not good enough to expect to win these games. But we are still making progress towards Bordeaux. There's Saint-Sorin de Cognac. Be nice to know how to speak other languages. Pronounce things remotely close to how they're supposed to be said. But I clearly don't have that ability in French. Sun is setting here on Saturday, October 26th. Now, in real life, it's 3:31 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So in France, it's probably like 11:31 or 10:31. Well, probably 9:31. I did bump the time back, I don't know, 4 hours, 3 hours, something like that. So it's probably pretty similar to what 3:30 p.m. would be like in France, 3:30 or 4:30. We'll say 4:30 probably. This is supposed to be live weather, though. %23 fuel. Been recording for 2.5 hours, over 2.5 hours. I'm sure so many people are watching this video the full way through. All my millions and millions of followers. God, they're showing like the last time Nebraska won a big game. October 27, 2001, number 3 Nebraska beat number 2 Oklahoma 20-10. That was the 41 flash reverse or whatever it's called, where Eric Crouch caught a touchdown pass from Mike Stunts. That's probably the last time we beat a top 5 team. Last time we beat a ranked team was like 2012, I think. Second and what, 22, right? Or what is it? I forgot. No, it's second and 18. It's much better. Let's see what this high-powered offense does now. Little throw to the flat, screen. That's a screen. And tackled for a loss. Just running the same play over and over and over again. Or the same concept, basically. We just have no ability. Well, we can't block for more than 2 seconds. He was under pressure there, which you'd kind of expect on a screen, but number 0 completely unblocked. As we fly into the cloud, the haze here. Alright, 3rd and 19, minute 23 to go. We're actually going to throw the ball downfield, which is fun. Oh, we just threw a pick. We just threw it right to him. Like, no Husker anywhere close. We just threw it right to him. I have no idea why this happens all the time to us. Our quarterbacks just, like, do not see somebody. Like, I don't even know who he was trying to throw to. It makes 0 sense. Who was he trying to throw to here? I gotta see this replay. Unless there's a miscommunication between the receiver and the quarterback. They thought they're gonna run different routes. That was terrible. We just gifted the game away. That's Nebraska for you. Hey, we kept it close. Got to be happy with that. That's all we can hope for. Well, the good news is we play UCLA next week, so we have some sort of chance at winning that game. Although UCLA did beat Maryland. No, Rutgers, right? Yeah, UCLA beat Rutgers last week. So, who knows, but the rest of the season will be about, can Nebraska get to bowl eligibility? We just need one more win. But it's very similar to last year, where we got to 5 wins halfway through the season and then lost all the rest of our games. We started out 5-1 here. We got absolutely destroyed by Indiana. Played tough against Ohio State but lost. Now we got UCLA, which could be a win. Could be a win, theoretically. And then we'll have Wisconsin. Oh, USC, at USC. Home against Wisconsin and at Iowa. So, at Iowa, at USC, probably losses. Home against Wisconsin, probably a loss. Really need that UCLA game. But Ohio State gets the win. Shocker. All right, we got to be getting close to the Bordeaux airport. Every time I try to check on it, my autopilot tries to like take me back to where I departed from for some reason. I don't see Bordeaux anywhere here. There's got to be an airport up here somewhere, though. Pretty sure this is Bordeaux. Let's see what Twitter's saying about the close loss. Nebraska coach Matt Rule with freshman defensive back Amari Sanders as they exit the field after this 21-17 loss against number 4 Ohio State. I'm not seeing a whole lot of tweets by my heart is broken. We fought our ass off today, says Will Compton. Brian Christofferson says, Ohio State 21, Huskers 17, Nebraska came to fight. I was miserably wrong in my prediction, as were many back home. Need to bring it next week and get that 6th win. A lot to build from this game. Mitch Sherman says, that's it. Ohio State wins 21-17. Interception of Dylan Raiola on 3rd and 19 at the Huskers 37 was the dagger. Nebraska had the Buckeyes on the ropes. Huskers managed their last possession poorly. They are 5-3 to enter November. Lucy Roden, this comedian chick, says, wow, I can't believe Nebraska lost a close game in heartbreaking fashion. Dirk Chadlin says, as a program for more than a decade now, Nebraska is completely incapable of seizing an opportunity. It's freaking unbelievable. Yep. So Nebraska volleyball. Oh, we are getting hazy and looks like rain near Bordeaux. Here's a good tweet. Hate that call. The screen went nowhere on first down. Why try it again on second? Yeah, I agree with that. I saw I hate this play calling. So Indiana won 31-17 over Washington. I guess we could go. We could fly into Merignac, however you say that. Oh, did we just freeze? Oh no! Please tell me we did not just freeze. Oh, thank God! I thought we just lost over. Was it about 3 hours now? Yeah, it's 2 hours 45 minutes. This recording. I thought we just lost it. I think my computer is on its last legs here. For this recording anyway. So we're going to land at Merignac. Looks like the closest airport. Saint Laurent Medoc. Hello? We'll set that as our destination.
Aquitaine approach flipper 82080 is type Cessna 15211
So that's probably where we should aim for to start our descent. That spot that's 1,134 feet away, it says. Doesn't seem right.
Squawk 6746 Flipper 82080.
Flipper 82080, radar contact 11 miles east of Lima Foxtrot Victor Romeo, 2,100 feet. Cleared through the Charlie airspace. Maintain own navigation.
Well, we're fairly close to Bordeaux. I thought it was right around here, but I don't see it anywhere. But that's where we will see if we can remember Merignac next time to take off from. But let me pull it up on the maps. Oh, so Merignac is to the west of Bordeaux. So we could fly around Bordeaux a little bit next time. But we're getting close to Spain. There's Andorra down there. We'll probably next time continue on over Bilbao, however you say that, over Oviedo and Guion, A Coruña, down to Vigo, down to Porto, Portugal, down to Lisbon, and eventually get to Tangier. Now I'm tempted to fly down to Casablanca, but I think I'll keep with the coast and fly back east along the southern Spanish coast once we get past Portugal. Go over Barcelona, get to Marseille, Monaco, and into Italy, Genoa. Now that's a good question. Do I want to get up into like the Alps? Mont Blanc wouldn't be far away from Monaco and Genoa. These are all things we can find or figure out down the road. That'll probably be Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 by the time we get to those locations. That game does come out in about a month. It's actually, yeah, about a month. It's like the week before Thanksgiving. And I won't do too many flights that week because I'll have a trip to Nebraska to watch them play Wisconsin and probably get destroyed. But after that, I'm sure I'll have some flights on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. I'll probably be in Spain or Portugal, somewhere, one of those two countries. Gotta hurry up and end this flight. I'm watching Texas Tech and TCU, which I could not care less about. Am I down to for fuel? 16%. So Bordeaux is kind of off that way. %15 fuel. So we're going to call this video flying from, where did we take off from? I forget. Hold up, let me pull it up on my YouTube. We took off from, oh yeah, Guipavas. We'll call this one flying from Guipavas to Bordeaux. I think we're close enough to Bordeaux to say we flew to Bordeaux. Maybe we'll go Bordeaux / Merignac. Alright, here we go. Stretch run landing in Merignac, however you pronounce it. Just west of Bordeaux. Ooh, it's 10 till 4. Oh god, we are dropping frames like crazy. I don't know what happened. Every now and then we get that. But I need to wrap up quickly, because I still need to get my 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. steps, and it's 3:50 p.m. now.
Fly left traffic runway 29er flipper 82080.
Oh, it wants me over there, huh? We're gonna disobey. We're gonna land the wrong direction. Breaking the rules. We land how we want to land, damn it. Alright, landing the exact opposite way we're supposed to, but it's okay.
Flipper 82080, you are not cleared to land. Clear the runway.
Oh, nope, we don't want to do that. Just hit the wrong button, I'm hitting the gas. I'm saying we're not cleared to land. Well, we land how we want to land, damn it. Alright. There we go. Landed in Bordeaux the wrong way. They're not happy about it, but this is where we'll take off from next time on the next episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 World Tour.